September 14th, 2016. Again, it's hard to believe that this year is almost over and we will plunge into 2017 and things are only going to get more interesting. All over the world, there are populist revolutions against tyranny. And if you read an actual establishment publication, the type of communiques they have between governments, between ambassadors, between Fortune 100 companies, between think tanks, they're very, very clear about the planetary government, how they're trying to dumb people down, how they're trying to end the family, how they're trying to end hope, how they're trying to make humans obsolete, how they're trying to consolidate media, how they're trying to phase out cash, how they're trying to phase out normal barter systems and normal human sustainable communities in the name of sustainability. Everything's upside down. But they're in trouble. But instead of backing off, they are intensifying their operations. So the immovable object is about to run into the unstoppable force. And when that happens, you get a big bang. And the big bangs politically and militarily we've had before have killed hundreds of millions of people in the last century, when the world had about half the population it does now, on average, in the aggregate. And we didn't have the weapons we have now. So I'll just be honest with you. That's all I can do. If I was a selfish man, I'd be selling everything I've got and getting out of the United States or Europe. I'd be getting out of the Middle East. I'd be getting out of Latin America. I'd be getting out of Africa. I'd be getting out of many areas in Asia. And there's not many safe places to go. I mean, maybe some tiny islands in the South Pacific. And then what, you're only safe for a little while? There's a lot of positive movements happening, but again, a lot of negative movements happening. And they're coming together like a spring storm when the cold weather is running into the hot weather. What do you get? Giant strings of tornadoes, maelstroms, black squalls, floods. But the floods we're going to have here are collapsing borders, disenfranchised third world starving populations, warlords, military kingpins, mercenary combines, leaking nuclear reactors, collapsing infrastructure, corrupt, decadent, disconnected elites, weaponized media, even dumbing people down more. The answer is prosperity and innovation and a purpose-driven life. The globalists don't want purpose-driven people. They want cogs that fit neatly into algorithms. And so because our world predominantly in the last 60 years has been envisioned by a group of psychological hijackers, we are now entering into a very, very dangerous, tumultuous time. We come back, I'm going to do my best. That's all I can try to do to cover the news. There is a ridiculous graphic being sent around the web, just like all these other anonymous lists. I mean, one was made by a professor lady saying what was real news, what wasn't. She had to withdraw it because of lawsuit threats. The Washington Post admitted that some unnamed group had given them a list that they claimed was listing who the Russian-controlled media was. They retracted that last Wednesday. Well, now they've got another nebulous, unsourced document floating around, and it's hilarious. I mean, you want some humor, baby, we're about to give it to you. But I'm going to use this graph to actually break down from my view. It's based on history and reality and real research. Who really is who? Straight ahead. Stay with us. From the INFOWARS.com news studios, I'm Alex Jones. You got to say, #1 enemy of the New World Order after Donald Trump. We are honored to be here and very, very thankful. Thank you for joining us today. Where to begin? Judge deals death blow to anti-Trump faithless electors. Says that they must basically honor the popular vote. That's from Clifford Cunningham up on INFOWARS.com. 20 Trump delegates could flip, we're being told. The group is openly run by a think tank, control of the Democrats and the Clintons, and it's headed up by Nancy Pelosi's daughter. Can't make that up. Trump appoints immigration hawk Stephen Miller as senior policy advisor. 30-year-old former top Sessions aide advises Trump. Populist earthquake makes 2017 the great unknown. That's right, it's populism, nationalism, not racism. It's awakening to the corporate global government. So that's just some of the news in that stack. We've got the really big news. Proof foreign governments did interfere in the election to help Hillary Clinton. The Communist Chinese and Saudi Arabia wrote news articles in their state-run media bragging they'd given hundreds of millions into the campaign. But because they control the Justice Department, no charges. But they're saying the Russians hacked it. Now they're saying that the UK UKIP was run by the Russians, and so the vote should be ignored. And Italy trying to pull out of the EU, that should be ignored last week. On and on and on.
I don't think we have even begun to wake up to what Russia is doing when it comes to cyber warfare. Not only their interference now proven in the American presidential campaign, probably in our own referendum last year. We don't have the evidence for that yet, but I think it's highly probable. Certainly in the French presidential election, they will be involved, and there are already serious concerns in the German Secret Service that Russia is already interfering in the elections coming up. We've got to wake up to this. When are we going to wake up to this?
That's like a baby Keith Olbermann. That's from the British Parliament there in the UK, in London. Notice he said it's been proven. It's been proven, according to Ben Bradshaw, member of Parliament in the UK, that Russia hacked the U.S. election. No, it hasn't. Turns out the other 16 intelligence agencies say, no, we don't concur with this. There's no evidence, no intent. It's not real. But the news media says all 17 agencies agree Russia did it. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia and China, as well as the EU, bragged that they were involved in our elections and used their state-run media that goes into the United States, like BBC here in the U.S., to lobby against Trump. 90+% of the coverage of Trump was negative. We all know that. But no. The Russians, with a GDP of Italy and a population of like 180 million people, it supposedly overpowered the whole world. People aren't mad at globalism. People aren't voting against the corporate takeover. People aren't voting against austerity. No, they love it. It was the Russians. Meanwhile, CNN, again, in a new statement, says national emergency. CNN urges press to blame Trump. Win on Russia. I just mentioned it. Russia conspiracy theory spreads to UK Parliament. Now Putin blamed for Brexit. This man is all-powerful. Imagine if we could cut into the Kremlin and actually hear what Putin's saying over his different TV screens like a James Bond villain, talking to his minions. My evil extends across all time, all galaxies, all dimensions. Look into me one last time. This is Putin. Trump, do as I say. Nigel Farage, do as I say. Alex Jones, do as I say. Italian voters, do as I say. Icelanders, you are under my control. Brazil wants to pull out of the global union because of Putin. All across the world, people are angry at the IMF and World Bank, not for abusing them, not for austerity, not for robbing them, but because of the mighty, all-powerful, multivariate, multidimensional Colossus, Destructor Maximus, Supremo Vladimir Putin. The day of doom is here. Hold on. Yes, master, what did I do? But I like the IMF and World Bank being tax exempt, them raising my taxes and saying that my children belong to the government. I like Obamacare doubling, tripling prices. I like the borders wide open. I like being told I'm a bitter cleaner. Putin, don't order me to fight the New World Order. I love it. It's because you're telling me to fight them that I'm fighting them. Wait. Oh, yes. Yes, must do as Putin says. Oh, thank you, master. We've reached the point where they have Democratic congressmen on Fox News at the same table with Tucker Carlson overlooking the White House going, oh, you were for the Russians then, huh? And see, Carlson starts laughing, but it's not a laughing matter, and I get laughing at it too. But they mean business, folks. They mean to tell the sheeple out there that we really are evil people. Before I go off the rails here, let me get back to the other news. Here's some good news, and I've always pointed this out. As you decriminalize drugs, drug use goes down. You do not make it legal, just like you don't sell Everclear 200 proof to people under 21. You have it controlled, you tax it, you regulate it, and you put up billboards talking about how losers do it. If you make drugs cool, it makes people want to use them. It makes there be huge profits in it, so then people see it as glamorous and avant-garde. And that was all done on purpose. That's been declassified. When the whole prohibition thing ended after 10 years in the early 30s, they had to have something new for the black market, for the mafia, and many police departments had been corrupted by it. And the banks were addicted to the drug money, to the alcohol money. So they made narcotics illegal that had been sold in drugstores everywhere. You could walk in, buy heroin, cocaine, you name it, whatever you wanted. And there was a minority of folks that used it, of every race, color, and creed, but it was a small minority. When they made it illegal, within decades, it was everywhere because you created an incentive to push it by making it illegal, by putting bigger profits into it. You make it a sad joke, drug use goes down. There are a bunch of European countries, it's well known, like Portugal and others, that have decriminalized drugs, the Netherlands. And it made drugs use go way, way down, generally about 50%. Here's the numbers. Drug use and drinking are down amongst U.S. teens massively in a new federal study. Down 22% on the drug front. Now, that's just in 1 year. Now, why is that important? Youth marijuana use down despite greater legalization. Because you're not making it cool anymore. That's why. It's called psychology. That's why they're so stupid in mainstream media trying to ban us. If you think we were kicking your butt before, you openly said we're liars, deceivers, we should be arrested, we should be sued. By you openly having the EU, Hillary Clinton, the Democratic Party, Comedy Central, NPR, the Washington Post, the New York Times say, shut us down. By you doing that, you've only turned us into rock stars, taking it to the whole next level. But again, it's that hubris, it's that delusion in the globalists that they just can't seem to figure out the mistake they've made that other past corrupt systems have made as well. So we're going to talk about that some more. There are problems, though. Kids as young as 8 suspected in violent early morning robbery in Fort Greene, outside of New York. Some of the best soldiers are 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old because they're fearless. Wonder who's behind it, though. So we're going to get into all of this. We've got really big news on the Trump effect. Lawmakers now fixing California's government-fueled water crisis. All Trump had to do was make a phone call. IBM to hire another 25,000 jobs they announced because of Trump. That's Daily Mail. If you don't like Trump, you can move to Venezuela. That basically has almost no electricity. People are now eating their dogs and cats. Whole thing's collapsing. Cities in Sweden told to prepare for war because of the Islamic invasion. And when we come back from break, ex-CIA chief says Trump risked blame for an attack if he skips briefings. They're really beating this drum when Trump is getting briefings from Booz Allen and from others, and Wall Street has consortium systems they can subscribe to for millions a year, which Trump does, that gives you intel above intel, where the intelligence agencies actually get their information out of the raw feeds from Google, Facebook, Twitter, the stock market, and foreign governments. The CIA, folks, now gets its intel from corporate sources, about 90% of it. So it just shows the total antiquated bull. The CIA is a political, discredited lie factory, well known. He said that 6 months ago. He goes, I don't want those briefings. What are they, they're going to lie to me. Because he's being advised by top generals that were there when Obama ordered them to aid al-Qaeda and ISIS. And that's all coming out in the news today as well. We're going to go to break. Don't forget, it's only running till this Friday. Free shipping on everything at InfoWarsStore.com. If you order by Friday, guaranteed shipping anywhere in the 50 states, not just in the lower 48 or the Continental. And that supports the broadcast. Discounts of up to 50% off on colloidal silver, 25% off on DNA Force, though I'm told it's already sold out. 30% off on a bunch of other items. InfoWarsStore.com. Thank you for your support. These are great items and a great way to not fight traffic and get your shopping done. When we come back in the next long segment, I'm going to go over this ridiculous chart that the mainstream media is passing around and promoting that shows what trusted media is and what it isn't. And it is so ridiculous. It's so over-the-top deceptive that it's comical, but also very dangerous. We're going to get to that coming up in the next segment. We're also going to get to Europe, including France and England, are going to have to build big walls to keep the illegals out. You go, well, what do you mean England has a big English channel like 80 miles across from France and you know, its coastline there in Normandy and Burgundy? But the illegals go through the tunnel and jump on the trains, so they're going to build walls on both sides so they can't even get in to the ferry enclosures and to the tunnel enclosures because they're hijacking the trucks, everything, and just busting through the police every day. It's bedlam. And cities in Sweden are told to prepare for war, migrant crisis spiraling out of control. That's Infowars.com. Paul links to local reports in Sweden. This is not in the news. I mean, they've declared civil emergency in France and Sweden on the highways. It's like something out of a zombie movie. We've shown the videos here where you drive over a hill and 20,000 invading Islamics just pull you out of your car, rape your wife, kill you, and it's just hardly even in the news. It's reached total cuckoo land. But first,
Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman. All the world is waiting for you and the power you possess. In your satin tights, fighting for your rights, and the old red, white, and blue.
I meant to get to this yesterday, but I'm going to cover it now. No more Wonder Woman. I guess that means no more Leanne McAdoo.
Wonder Woman. Now the world is ready for you. And the wonder.
Yes, Linda Carter, please tie me up in the lasso immediately.
Make a honking dove.
Now, I was like a brunette with blue eyes, huh, guys? I like ladies every shape, color, and eye color, you name it. I just love God's creations. Now, let's get serious here. Wonder Woman, the UN has said she's too white, and so she can no longer be an ambassador to the United Nations. They've always had every supermodel, no matter what color they are, has to pledge allegiance to the United Nations, and every Miss America has to say what she plans to do with her life is help UNICEF and the children. Total cover for the evil of the United Nations and its mass murder operations and child kidnapping rings that it publicly runs worldwide. The New York Times will call that fake news. You can just Google UN sex trade. They are the kings of it. DynCorp has been caught, you name it. UN to end Wonder Woman's role, this is the London Guardian, as an honorary ambassador because she's attractive and white. Oh, I'm sorry, being attractive hateful too, because you might not be attractive. Plans to use superhero in an honorary role in an employment campaign to fight for gender equality, promoted criticism that the choice sent the wrong messages. London Guardian. Isn't that just darling? Now, continuing, all over the country, they've said at colleges, don't show paintings of the football team or men being masculine, even if they're black, because a man being masculine is aggressive and has hints of rape. And they're now, you know, they have that song, Come Inside, Honey, it's cold outside. You know that song? Last week they announced that's not going to be aired because saying, hey, you know, come inside, it's cold, it's warm in here with a woman in a sexy voice. That implies rape. Normal Human interaction is evil. The big mega state cult says we can't have it. You're not in a science fiction dystopia movie. You're not in THX 1138. You're in 2016. And here it is. There it is. Activists push to ban Baby It's Cold Outside. Can we come in the next segment with that? Can we find that? Thank you. But it gets better. Paul Joseph Watson has an article on this that links directly to the advisory at the college. University says holiday instead of Christmas is not politically correct enough. First, don't say Christmas, say holiday. Then don't say holiday. All over the country, I see these articles every Christmas. If it happened here in Texas this year, do not hand out Christmas cards. See, you have free speech. You have a First Amendment. You can hand out Satanism cards. You can hand out cards about how you love race cars or how you love hiking or how you love the local football team. Whatever you want. In your own time at lunch, you can hand out those cards. You can communicate. You can pass out comic books to your friends. You can bring an extra sandwich to your friends. But now they're saying parents shouldn't pack their own lunches for their kids because you can't be trusted. Well, now they're banning it, saying some people don't have holidays in their belief system, so you having one isn't inclusive. Everybody doesn't have a mother or father either. Meanwhile, Trump's given a speech and says we're going to say Merry Christmas again, and is seen as radical. This is a cult telling us we can have no culture, but whatever we download on a daily basis from them, let's break free from it. Stay with us. I'm Alex Jones. Imagine a man and a woman of the human species that have huddled together in the cold for eons.
The neighbors might think.
Now, talking about it being cold and snowy, and you get frisky, and you want to go in and curl up in the bed or curl up on the couch in front of the fire and have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or, Lord forbid, a little Kahlua. And there's nothing more horrible than that. So we need this big state and this big media to come insert itself in the middle of that and call for that to be banned as well. That's right. College groups and other organizations are calling for it. We just put it up on screen to ban it. And a lot of radio stations are saying, yes, we will. And you see the corporations like that because it's all part of intimidating the public, setting the precedent to ban speech and to make everything hurtful except Google and others working 5 years ago to fund the Arab Spring and overthrow 11 different countries and kill close to 1 million people, 300,000+ in Syria alone. That's liberal to, with Saudi Arabia and proxy armies, take over and kill Muslims that aren't radical, Christians, Jews, you name it, enslave women, sell them into sex slavery, cut their genitals off, throw Catholic priests off the top of buildings, kill Orthodox priests, kill Orthodox nuns. That's cute. That's fun. But don't you say, baby, it's cold outside. No, no, no. No, you don't. And the police in Sweden, the police in Germany have gone public and said, we've been ordered when women are raped or people are even killed to cover it up and say that it was a German that did it or a Swede when it's illegal. Who was the Somali who was here illegally that stabbed 9 people in Ohio? And what did Obama say? Don't say it's Islam. And then now they've got liberal groups coming out saying they're looking at suing the cop because he didn't have a right to shoot a guy running at him with a butcher knife who'd already been running people over with cars. It's all protected. Yeah, let's show some folks. Just go to YouTube and type in migrants storm the tunnel in France or migrants storm out of tunnel in England. And I mean, there's videos going back 10 years that just shows men at night going, like they're Normandy. Out of the tunnel, hanging on trains, and the police are ordered just to stand down as guys are running by going, and as soon as they get to social workers or Lundistan and the Islamic mayor, all free welfare, new identities, whatever they want, and they all just laugh, and their imams preach in London and preach in Jerusalem, your women are ours, you are weak, we will breed you out, whites are evil, Islam rules, and you think, well, Islam's not about color. Oh, they've picked up the whole liberal anti-white thing too. And then I've got in Cologne and in Berlin, the Green parties in their meetings going, it is good no more white people. Germans are bad. And it's white Germans saying it. White women. Now, let's go further. In Berlin, the Secretary of State was just elected, and she's an Islamicist who wants to enforce Sharia law. That was in the news yesterday. But she doesn't wear a headdress or burqa when she's up there, and she's got this crazed power look in her eye. Can we pull that up? Berlin's new Secretary of State. No, excuse me. New Attorney General, excuse me. Promote Sharia law. And then it's got quotes of her, and it's got her up there on the dais looking like she's on a power trip. What is it about all these globalists? They always have this, like whether it's Hollande or whether it's Legrand or anything, they have these weird, crazed looks in their eyes. Like they're just seething with power, like some type of villain from a movie. There's actually an INFOWARS.com article linked to the German news. It was Berlin, New Berlin, was he the Secretary of State or Attorney General? I think the Secretary of State for that state supports Sharia law. Here, let me try. See, I get obsessed with these searches. I've got to show people where I can continue. It's New German. It was like, they said German, that was Berlin when you read later. New German Secretary Sharia law. Let me get that up right there. Oh, this thing is so slow. Just gonna keep going here. Doesn't matter how long it takes. New. Oh, this thing's got problems. Here we go. New German Secretary Sharia law. Boom. That should bring it up. And let's see. Put Infowars.com behind it, guys, and you'll get it. And we can put that on screen. I just have, it's not that the crew's bad. They're better searchers than I am most of the time. It's just that sometimes I get this OCD obsession now with showing something, and I won't be able to continue. This doesn't have internet. I have to go to rebroadcast. Let's go ahead and get a video ready. We have it? Okay. I must have it. I must prove it. I must document it. I must show everyone. We've got a John Bowne report that's pretty important anyways, and I want to come back with this key map, and I want to kind of reset for that anyways. This is really big news and really, really important. There it is. Berlin's new Secretary of State is pro-Sharia law. That's Breitbart. Now we have an Infowars.com headline as well. I don't care who got it first. I want people to see that. I have to show them that it was Infowars. So let's put that headline in, and let's put Infowars.com. There it is. That's what I wanted. Look at the power-tripping look in that woman's eyes. And I've been out at the communist rallies and the anti-free speech rallies and the anti-Trump rallies, and it's Muslim women wearing burqas, but their eyes are looking at me just like that. But what is she doing out without her burqa on, up there lecturing Germans that are wanting to commit cultural suicide? What is she doing? Because under Sharia law, she can't drive a car or do jack crap. I want to know. Because I can't go to most Muslim nations and practice my religion or be free. So don't come here and tell me I'm a bigot because I don't want to go under your control while they're banning Christmas everywhere and saying I can't even say happy holidays in a college. I have free speech. I can say whatever I want. They've got conservatives fooled. They think Thomas Jefferson was wrong. He said separation of church and state in a letter about the First Amendment, explaining that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And then it goes on to the press and the right to assemble and the rest of it. You understand that? German minister refuses to wear a hijab during Saudi Arabia visit. Days after Merkel called for burqa ban. She's being forced to do that, but then says Germans should assimilate and accept Islam. But why am I getting at all this? Why am I so upset? It's because under the First Amendment, ladies and gentlemen, it guards your religious right because the government can't have an official religion and make you practice it. But we can leave our founding Christian symbols up and we can have nativity scenes. But beyond that now, they're trying to tell individuals if you're at a public event or anything with any government funding that you don't have speech. They even tell churches under 501c3 to tell their practitioners, don't talk about politics at this church lunch. That's pure bull. They're putting blinders and gags on the American people, and I'm done. Now, before I go any further, because I've got some over-the-top incredible news I want to break down today and a bunch of guests, but I've got to get to this. I had no idea how popular this would be, and so I guess we miscalculated on the amount of this toothpaste we bought. That's a great thing because this helps fund our operation. Now, At $9.95, though, we don't make a lot of money off of it, so order yourself one, stock up on it, buy some for friends and family. This was 3 years in the making. My father is a chemist, an oral surgeon, and a retired dentist, and he's worked again on getting major, drugs approved that were herbal supplements, so he knows what he's doing. And we're not allowed, because of contractual issues, to say who made this, because they're a private labeler, but it is the biggest producer of toothpaste in the United States, and it's who makes the leading brand of organic non-fluoride toothpaste. I can say that. So just like our Colloidal Silver is the biggest lab in the country that supplies Whole Foods with their label on average for $24.95, we sell it for $9.95. It's $9.95 right now, our Colloidal Silver Silver Bullet. Store-wide free shipping on everything, 30% off on the other products. It's just a massive sale. Only until Friday can we guarantee you'll get it before Christmas in the United States. But we're now launching what my dad developed, and he said, son, I'm going to do it all. He even did the graphics, which a lot of people actually like how simple the graphics are. He even named it. He said, just let me do it, because for some reason I couldn't get it done. So that was about a year ago. I've been trying for 2 years to get this top company to be able to do this, to put true iodine in, that's the atomic iodine, and nano colloidal silver together in one toothpaste with peppermint and tea tree oil. My dad just rants and raves about this. I've been using it for several months before it finally came in on the 18-wheeler made right here in America. This is unbelievable. This is hands down. I'm going to move to put this in stores. I've never done that with any of our products. I'm going to move to do a kind of a fancier label, or who knows, people kind of like this simple label. Super Blue is the name, because real iodine turns blue, not red. So its blue color isn't coloring. It comes out white and turns blue once you start adding oxygen, showing that the iodine is then activating. It's incredible. And then it's got colloidal silver. You talk about amazing. Nano silver, iodine, peppermint oil, xylitol, and other key ingredients. And it's fluoride-free, made and developed right here in the USA. It's $9.95, normally $12. It's discounted out of the gates. It's available at InfoWarsStore.com. You can call toll-free as well. Super Blue, non-fluoride toothpaste with iodine, nano silver, recommended by Alex Jones. 4 ounces. It's a big container. InfoWars Life, Super Blue. And getting into what happens with gingivitis and how a lot of ventricle infections in the heart are caused by bad hygiene. You got to floss, you got to brush, you got to get scaled 3 times a year. And I'm telling you, folks, what iodine does and what fluoride, countering systems do, like the iodine, which is the good halogen, it's amazing. InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. 888-253-3139, and your purchase supports the broadcast. Living Defense Parasite Cleanse, 30% off. Silver Bullet, 50% off. Brain Force, with 20% more in each bottle, 33% off. Winter Sun, Vitamin D3, 25% off. Survival Shield X2, super high quality, Vitamin B12, 30% off. Bio True Selenium, 30% off, and a bunch of other specials I don't have time to name. InfoWarsStore.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Now, by the way, earlier, it has nothing to do with the crew. I've never been OCD in my life. But now I've got an OCD about if I'm talking about something particularly and I want to see it and then I can't find it, I just get it, I just get neurotic, and I apologize. Nothing to do with the crew, and I kind of freeze up now, and I'm like, I've got to show people where they say this. If I'm making a claim, I've got to show you, because it's so incredible. And I wanted to see her hateful face for TV viewers, her power-tripping face, her hypocritical face, when she supports Sharia law, enslaving women, making them wear burqas, and she's out running around openly not doing it in this open, inclusive Western country that's brought her in, and then she basically is just arrogantly angry about it, trying to make us convert to her cult. I'm done. Now, before I go any further, speaking of how they're banning Wonder Woman, saying she's attractive and she's white, so the UN doesn't want her anymore. Well, we don't want you, UN. And again, I love everybody. I love all. It's just it's this thing that whiteness is inherently evil. Get rid of it. It's just sick. They're trying to create racism, classism, sexism. They're trying to create a total clash of civilizations, and it's evil. It's wrong. I'm not against Islam in general. It's had some good ages in it and had some developments, but it's very aggressive right now, very cancerous. It's dominating and enslaving Muslims all around them, taking over the world. Muslims kill more of each other than anybody else. It needs reformation. The Democratic Party needs to be reformed. The Republican Party does. The elites are out of control. They're disconnected, and they're teaming up with any authoritarianism to suppress the people. And then you've got all these black leaders, formerly Jesse Jackson, James Brown, you name it. James Brown, Jim Brown, and so many others that have known Trump for 40 years and know that the guy's super nice, super cool, hires a ton of African Americans, when they're qualified, hires white people when they're qualified, just goes off how hard working you are and promotes people and bought up these racist golf courses 35 years ago, the last two in the country that didn't let blacks and Jews in and made them all inclusive. They just know it's not true. So they've come out in defense of Trump, and they're being demonized by the race-pimping folks on CNN, MSNBC, who know full well what they're doing. So here we've got a video. NFL legends praise Donald Trump. Jim Brown, Ray Lewis, and others are now guilty of Trumping while black, like Kanye West, who isn't perfect, but is now divorcing his wife and says he's getting out all the liberal garbage, and he doesn't believe the lies about Trump. He's known him for years, and came out in support of him, and then didn't hit anybody, didn't attack anybody. They said, you need to settle down, you're crazy, and grabbed him and locked him up in a mental institution for almost 2 weeks. Now the media is demonizing him as he dare visits president-elect. He took the red pill. Like Trump said, black unemployment has almost doubled under Obama. What do you got to lose? He's calling for these companies to invest in urban, mainly black areas. That's part of the phone calls. And what'll really make me happy, I'm going to get that tax on corporations cut, is I want you to move into these burnout urban centers. It's beyond real political correctness. It's actually bringing prosperity and self-respect that will end all this poverty and crap that the globalists are pushing to control us. Now, let's get to this clip, because then the media comes out and demonizes it. Here's NFL legends praise Donald Trump. Then I'm going to get to this incredible map. Here we go.
And to me, it's a match made in heaven. It's something that rather than go out and try to invent a vehicle to enhance the African-American community, we have a vehicle in place that we need the country to get behind, not just this administration, but for the country to get behind, so we can affect positive change in our communities.
How receptive of this Trump?
Oh, very, yes.
It couldn't have been a better meeting. The graciousness, the intelligence, the reception we got was fantastic.
The specific policies you guys talked about.
Would you repeat that?
Well, I think if you talk about what we're trying to really do from the urban developments, and job creations are everything. But I think, we're talking about really what entrepreneurship really looks like from the individual themselves. And I think what American I Can program has done for so many years is put us at that place, and now we have 30, 40,000 former gang members and people who's changed their lives. But what we believe with the Trump administration is if we can combine these two powers of coming together, forget black or white. Black or white is irrelevant. The bottom line is job creation, economic development in these urban neighborhoods to change the whole scheme of what our kids see for our next future.
And we will characterize Mr. Trump's outreach to African Americans during the campaign. Do you feel that it was appropriate?
Yeah, well, I think what I do feel is that he's wide open to really helping us change what hasn't been changed. You talk about, you go all the way back to $22 trillion since President Johnson was around, and you think about what that is, of what talking about, like really solving poverty, $22 trillion that we haven't addressed yet, right? So for us as a black community, for Trump to even step up there, for Mr. President to step up there and say, I'm going to do that, that means everything. And I think that's why me and Mr. Brown is here today.
Did you all vote for him, President?
No, I did not.
The election is over. We don't need to talk about that. We need to talk about going forward. We're not here to talk about the past. We're here to talk about going forward.
I've been listened to, and we definitely have a partnership.
Yep.
And it's an extension of the outreach program that we put in place that you follow so very closely. Mr. Trump made a commitment to improving the conditions of the lives of African Americans in this country, and this is going to continue the work that we started during this campaign with the National Diversity Coalition and now with the Mayor I Can, Jim Brown, Ray Lewis, and it's a great combination. And the president-elect was very enthusiastic about it and committed to doing it.
I think he was excited.
He's made a commitment. He's given a verbal commitment. This was the first of many meetings. He's given us a verbal commitment, and then we're going to go forward. We're going to strategize, and then the next step will be implementation. We're not going to drag our feet talking about this for the next 3 years. This is something that the vehicle is already in place. The model already works.
That's right.
We're just going to energize and empower this model, put the government behind it, put the Trump administration behind it, put the African American community behind it, put the American community behind it, and we're going to get busy.
I notice those are all really smart, cool, sharp, good-looking guys. And there's tons of black men like that. You never see them on the news. They put these Don Lemon types, all effeminate, worshiping the government, worshiping corruption, worshiping welfare checks to keep people under control. You mentioned LBJ? Because I've read the writings of that particular NFL current player. He's talking about LBJ saying, I'll have the N-words voting Democrat for 100 years. It was about kicking men out of the house, domesticating people, and they've done it in 60 years. $22 trillion to screw up a community, not to help it, to induct you into prison. And Trump means on delivering jobs, high paying. That's why the world is so angry at him, because the globalists thought they'd won. And the model they've done in the black areas is the model for everybody. Look at the numbers. Every group is going the same direction. I even say in groups because everybody's just intermarrying. It's all a bunch of bull, man. Now, there's another clip where they try to derive a racial narrative out of this. You already heard her. Was it appropriate? He kept directly addressing the African-American community. I thought that's what you want. Obama wouldn't come to your communities. He'd just spew a bunch of race garbage and go on shows and say whites are more racist than ever. The ones that elected him, creating racism on both sides. So here's the next clip.
Does it concern you at all that in the top four, the big four cabinet posts, Mr. Trump hasn't appointed a woman or a minority?
No, it doesn't concern me. We're talking about this today. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this. This is what we're talking about. Our focus is right here.
Pause for a minute.
On this American.
Notice Trump's going out and getting the people that will actually get the job done. One of the best salesmen in the world, works in more countries than anybody. Rex Tillerson, you can say he's bad, say he's good. The point is, he's going to get stuff done. He's going out and putting people in place that have the biggest and best credentials to deliver it. It's like in the NFL, you put in the slot whoever's the best player, no matter what color they are. It's the same deal. Do you want the jobs delivered? Do you want it to see, the Democrats will appoint some black faces, and then your unemployment doubles, and he won't come visit you. It's all image over substance. Trump doesn't care how he looks. He's going to deliver. Quote, you will not be disappointed. You want to be delivered, or do you want to get more bull? By the way, Pastor Manning has been a big fan of Trump, now thinks he's the worst thing since herpes. So he's popping in today. I like Manning, but I got to hear this because Manning's been saying some really goofy stuff. Like, he literally says if you're gay, that fire will shoot out like a torch, a blowtorch out of your rear end. So I'm sure he goes, fire will shoot out of the... I love him to death, but I mean, he's just something else. Yeah, he calls Obama the long-legged Mac Daddy. I want to hear his new nickname for Trump. I love Manning. He's something else, I tell you. I don't know what's going on with him, though. Here, let's finish up the clip.
And implementing this program.
Any questions for Ray or for Jim Brown?
How do you hope to use your platform, as famous athletes, as a commentator, to carry this message out there and also hold the administration to their word?
I think one of the things that it's no secret that, if Mr. Brown Papa Brown picks up a phone call and calls anybody in the nation right now who's in the world of athletics entertainment, that phone call is easily picked up. And so for myself, the moment he picked it up for me years ago, is the reason why I stand beside him right now with every vision he's put forth. Now, he's passed the torch to me to carry that now, and that's what I want to make sure we carry. But to reach anybody, there's nobody we can't reach, and I think that's why we're here, because we can bring a lot of people to work together. And
we're not here because of politics. We are here to help the President of the United States help the people that need help.
Exactly. Instead of fighting with each other.
Yeah, I mean, I know Dr. Consul personally, and I think he's an excellent choice for this. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just think that's one thing even Mr. President spoke about, is that that's the things he can easily be educated on. Just like people go to classes and go to schools for everything, I'm pretty sure Dr. Consul can be caught up on housing very quickly. Yes. Yeah, brilliant guy.
Any other questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you all. Have a good day. Which way do we go? This way. The other way?
All right, so there you go. There's Jim Brown actually trying to get investment in the black community, while everybody else runs around just trying to create divisions so they can be the race pimps over everybody. I didn't get to it this hour. I got a bunch of guests coming up, but I've got to get to it today. The fake news list Watson put out last week dovetails with this new fake news graphic they've put out that's being passed around by MSM. And as usual, they won't say who made it because there's lawsuits connected to it, saying somebody's illegitimate, trying to shut them down on the business. Look, they say they've got stuff here that they say is totally nonpartisan and totally trustworthy, and they list NPR, BBC, The Washington Post, New York Times, NBC, ABC, AP, and Reuters, CNN, USA Today. I mean, this is ridiculous. CNN is one of the biggest liars. The Washington Post is so deceptive, it'll make your head spin. Turns out the CIA didn't say that. It was a subgroup, and the other agencies don't agree. They said all 17 agencies conclusively agree Russia stole the election. The BBC state-run and has been caught with giant pedophile rings in it, just like Penn State. I mean, you look at all these groups, this is crazy. Oh, most untrustworthy, Breitbart, and even lower than that, the lowest is INFOWARS. We're the worst there is. That means we're the best there is, you know, an upside-down world. I love it. My name's John Hancock, baby. Get used to it. I sign my name big, proud, and bold. Stay with us. We are back live. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Alex Jones. Don't forget we have the new subscription app. It's $4.95 a month, and you get coupons on there, 50% off of many of the best-selling items at InfoWarsStore.com, so you pay for it with any purchase at InfoWarsStore.com. I mean, you save your money. You pay for what the app costs just in the savings you get. But we have the free app. We have the free app that's 6 years old, has over 1 million people that have downloaded it, that just has the audio and the news feed. And then you have the new InfoWars app that has video feeds and more high-tech delivery. And then you subscribe there at InfoWars.com/app to the free one. And right there you can click it and pay $4.95 a month or get a discount getting a year. It's even less. And then you can get the live special events we do and the huge discounts and a lot of other push notifications, emergency news alerts, and more. We're going to be adding to that app for no additional charge in the next few months. It just helps us pay for the bandwidth. That's why you can get the best deal we've ever offered in its 15, 16-year history at prisonplanet.tv right now for the nightly news and my films and other exclusive content that we add there. I forget how much I said take off on it, but it's the biggest special we've ever done. I've got a bunch of guests coming up I want to tell you about, but I think it's in here. No, I don't think they have. I don't think they have the special for prisonplanet.tv in my file. I don't know why that would be taken out, but c'est la vie. I'll get it during the next break. Yeah, it's 8 months free right now. Okay, 8 months free, so $24.95 a year. Normally $54.95, and if you pay just monthly, it's $5.95. But listen, 20 people can use each username. So use a unique username that's only for, logging into this. Don't use your username that's for your Mac account or anything. Create a unique one when you sign up, or you can change it. It's easy to do if you're already a member. And then you can, for $5.95, give everybody a trial membership, or for $24.95, give everybody a year membership. You can give 19 people and yourself a InfoWarsNews.com or PrisonPlanet.tv nightly news subscription, all my films in HD, special content, and a lot more for members of that. In the future, we're going to try to merge those two memberships together on the app, but that's down the road. But however you do it, thank you for supporting the transmission. Now, coming up, we have Steven Crowder, who is obviously a big sensation in the last decade, fighting tyrants on the internet. And I like to see him really organizing and launching his own network now. It's exciting. Louderwithcrowder.com. As comedian, radio host, conservative, and author, former TV and movie star as well. I guess he still does that too. But he's been shooting some videos out in the street that really show the absurdity of what's going on. We never aired on air the whole Turk, Young Turk parody he did with me. So maybe we should choose one of those and play one of those coming up as well. But he's going to be joining us coming up in the next segment. Speaking of fake news, I mention this because it's impossible the way the ad sharing systems work with Google or any of the other platforms to stop fake news unless you get rid of it. And I'm seriously considering getting rid of third-party advertising completely that's web-based from Google and from others, because as soon as you knock down one ad you don't like, another one pops up. And I told the story I showed you about a month ago, an Amy Schumer article with her ugly chipmunk face up there saying Amy Schumer clarifies why she isn't leaving the U.S. You go there, it's a fake newspaper clipping to make it look real from 20 years ago with Trump saying, I hate conservatives, I hate everybody, they're all dumb. Boy, I'm a big liberal. It's a fake quote. At the end of the article, she admits it's fake, knowing 90% of people don't read to the end. Well, I had to then go through and say, take that out of our ad feed. They just put more crap in there. So the New York Times just got caught in this. The Daily Caller reports, oh, snap, New York Times airs ad for fake news by mistake in an article decrying fake news. And it's the same third-party advertising where they have a slot they control, and it said Alec Baldwin was dead at 58. I mean, it's out of control. Now, first off, I don't normally rip off other people in the liberty movement, but imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. It's actually a big plug for him. I have sought out cook sets for camping like we had when I was a kid, the blue with the little white speckles, and I couldn't find them anywhere. I was in Big Bend last year and found some coffee cups. And I bought like all they had at the little Big Bend shop out in the middle of nowhere by the Rio Grande River. I bought like 5 of them. Look at this, louder with Crowder. I'm not kidding. I told my crew a year ago, I said, I want to have coffee cups like this with INFOWARS.com on them. Now, this guy's really weird. Okay, I had this weird idea myself. Talk about great minds think alike. And then he's beat me to it. See, crew? See? So I'm not ripping him off. My original idea is his too. But no, I mean, we'll probably never get around to it. I mean, the point is he said it was hard to discover where to get them as well. But look, you get that when you sign up to a subscription service at louderwithcrowder.com. And we'll talk to him here in just a moment. And the reason he's coming on is fake news. And I want to just illustrate this for you. We'll put it on screen from a video I did last month where I show the Amy Schumer article. Of all places, iHeartRadio put this out. And it says, Amy Schumer, explains why she's not leaving the U.S. And she says, oh, I never really said that. I didn't really mean it. And then there's this quote of Trump saying, I hate America. I think they're all stupid. We can put it on full screen for folks to see it in HD. And at the bottom of the article, she later admits, by the way, this quote isn't real. So she knows most people don't read that far down. They're doing this to me now. Like on Pizzagate, I go, I don't know if Hillary's killing kids for real, but I know that she funded ISIS and Al-Qaeda, so she's literally funding people that chop kids up. They cut off the part where I say in Syria. Now, the Washington Post said I was talking about Syria, but NPR, the local paper, they don't. I have family going, are you really saying she chops kids up in a basement? Never said that. Never focused in on that play. I talked about the Podesta emails and the spirit cooking and weird crap. This is how mainstream media deceives. Then they run all these ads. This was run on InfoWars and Breitbart. I saw it in the ad feeds you get from Google and other people. So it's like whack-a-mole. I'm almost every day telling my IT people, okay, contact them, pull that ad out. It's always some horrible bull or some lie about, some conservative. They know what they're doing. So they're targeting us through our advertising while pulling BMW ads, Kellogg's ads. Yes, that's happened to us too. Breitbart's smart enough to point it out when it happens, but they're doing it to us. So this is how they operate. Now, there's an article out today by the Daily Caller. Oh, snap. New York Times airs ad for fake news by mistake. I think there's 4 or 5 of these companies. Google's the biggest one, but there's a bunch of other content providers that they mix in articles with ads. You get a share of it. You put a block of 4 or 6 pictures down at the bottom of your article. That's third-party advertising with a slot with code to project what they want onto your website. It's like an authorized hack, basically. And what did they say? Here's a screenshot for TV viewers. I'll describe it for radio listeners. Alec Baldwin is dead at 58. Now, mainstream media is so fake, they may take this clip of me and have me saying that. I'm not kidding. They've reached that level of deception. But here it is. He was more of a legend than any other Hollywood, an A-lister. He was found dead, and it goes on. So in the New York Times article about fake news, they have a news feed with fake news. This is real fake news. Every month they say I'm dead. Every month they say Mike Tyson is dead. Or we don't do this. Do we get things wrong sometimes? Yes. So Crowder's pointed out they've changed the YouTube algorithm to where if you don't do pure clickbait, if you aren't totally mindless and sensational, you don't get traffic. If it's substantive, then you're basically shut off. You've got to be mindless. You've got to be idiotic. And he went and shot a video to illustrate it. I want him to set it up first. But it is mainstream media that's gone totally tabloid. They're the ones that have dumbed it down. They're the reason they've lost credibility. Not the Russians, not Donald Trump, not Steven Crowder, not Paul Watson, not Ann Coulter. And so they're so delusional, though, they think censoring us, shadow banning us on Reddit, blocking us in Google Chrome, saying we're a fake website's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. So Steven Crowder with Louder with Crowder.com joins us. What's your take on this?
Well, thanks for having me. By the way, there's plenty of blue speckled porcelain to go around, so I appreciate you giving me a heads up. No problem with that at all.
Listen, I probably won't even copy it. It's just funny I had that idea. That's a really cool idea. What made you think of that?
I don't know. We were looking at different mugs. I wanted to do this. I have a friend who runs Art of Manliness as a website, and I just had this in my mind, and it's been really hard. So for people who've ordered them, you know, we're back ordered. It's like a 6-week lead time, so I'm sorry about that.
So it was a big hit. I knew it.
It was. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it, especially with your support. I'm very appreciative. With the fake news, YouTube just changed it, so people effectively have to subscribe twice. I don't know if you've seen this affect your personal feed, but even big YouTubers like PewDiePie and I think FLiP DeFranco have talked about this. If you subscribe on YouTube, that's not enough. You then have to hit the bell and allow notifications. Well, people are subscribing who don't understand this sort of inside baseball of the web. They think they're going to get notifications. That's what a subscription is. So we did a video to, do you guys have a clip of the video? Is that what I'm setting up?
We do, yes.
Okay, so we did a video where YouTube isn't really aware that this is encouraging more clickbait. It's inadvertently encouraging more fake news, or certainly, I would say, news that's been exaggerated despite their best efforts.
I've noticed our subscriptions and stuff are not growing as fast, and our views have been cutting probably 30% in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, good. Well, it's not just us then, because a lot of YouTubers have seen that. And a good example is for, you know, we're going to have Sally Cohn on this week on my program. Well, you're going to be in my program. Then we have Sally Cohn. I don't know who else. We may have another guest who's adversarial. And here's the thing. I don't agree with her. I'll have someone on who I don't agree with at all. But if someone doesn't click like because they don't like that person's opinion, YouTube says you don't want to see this. Well, no. People do want to see the debates. People do want to see discussions.
No, I've noticed that some of my best videos are the ones that get all these dislikes because they think they're disliking the person.
Right, exactly. So again, people who go onto YouTube, most of them, they go on, they want to watch videos and get off. They're not commenting, they're not liking.
And the reason this is important, listeners, is we're huge on YouTube, billions and billions of views.
Yeah.
If you're not in the InfoWar knowing this stuff that I don't even really understand, I'm glad Stephen and Paul and my 14-year-old son was actually telling me this 2 weeks ago. He goes, Dad, you got to click the bell. It's the likes. They changed the algorithm. Because I was wondering, sitting there at the dinner table, boy, our YouTubes are down. I wonder what's happening. He explained it to me because our other traffic's staying the same. It's not just Christmas. It's that this is happening. So this is inside baseball, folks. But if we're going to win the InfoWar, we've got to talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we created the, all of our stuff. And like you, Alex, what I do appreciate is you put a bunch of free stuff on YouTube and you have your premium membership. We don't want to go off YouTube because, like you said, we want to fight the left where they are. And that's why we've created the Mug Club and CRTV so that we can have free stuff on YouTube. And if people want to support it, they also can for a low price because we can't be beholden to people who want to silence.
This is how we're independent.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys have obviously done a great job with it. So if we're going to do the clip, this is Dr. Clickbait coaching people on how to create YouTube news that is palatable for most people.
Steven, I'm uploading the new video.
I say, I've never seen such a shameful display of YouTubery.
What the? Dr. Clickbait?
Yes, what are you doing here? That's all wrong. This kind of content will never make anyone's recommended feed.
But our subscribers, they love this content.
No, it's not about subscribers or original content anymore. It's all about recommendations. See that there? See what that thumbnail needs? You know what that needs? Tits. That thumbnail requires tits. Young man, it's scientifically proven that every thumbnail with tits is 142% more clickable. And what's up with that title? It's entirely wrong. It's accurate, borderline descriptive. Even you need to use words that create an adversarial nature, bombastic, words like fail, epic, wrecked, or destroyed, and Never forget to mind the confirmation bias. People want you to tell them what it is they want to hear. And what will you tell them? Exactly what they want to hear. That's how you generate clicks on YouTube. That's how you make the recommended feed. Well, let me show you. You need to sponsor that picture.
What about image accuracy?
You need to clickbait that title.
Whatever happened to old honesty?
Oh, everything about this is awful.
I guess it's not so easy to see.
No, where just follow these steps. It can be as easy as 1, 2, 3.
But Dr. Clickbait, where do I even start?
Well, I'm so glad you've asked. You can find examples everywhere. You simply have to look. Like here.
Oh.
And there.
I get it.
Like here and there and here. It's all everywhere. Now you try.
Oh, okay, like here.
No, there.
Oh. But like here?
Yes, there and here.
And there.
Oh my, what a pair.
Woo! I think I got it now. Thanks, Dr. Clickbait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So what we're doing here is we're trying to tell the fellow info warriors how to be more effective. But I've noticed this, that people like really clean, serious titles is what we always did, just breaking down what they're about to see. But now YouTube's saying, no, don't do that. They're encouraging the garbage, the mindlessness. And I think you're saying it's on accident, Stephen. I think they want it dumbed down. I think they want the fluff to dominate. That's in the WikiLeaks, that they want to keep us distracted and diverted. I don't think they want content like yours and mine to be number one.
Well, I think there's a truth somewhere in the middle. I think you're right. Obviously, conservative leading channels have had all kinds of issues. We have had people unsubscribe to us and auto-subscribe to other channels by accident. It's always hard to track. I don't think they want false clickbait with all the breasts, as we talk about, though that's all over YouTube. But I do think that they're getting rid of the subscription feed, and forcing this recommended feed because it does give them more control. That's absolutely true, and it's bitten them in the rear because now there are all these people who don't create any content, and they're just putting up clickbait thumbnails. And this is the problem. Listen, it's great that there are no media gatekeepers. You know this and I know this. This is why we're allowed to have these careers. We wouldn't be allowed to be on mainstream networks. I know I was for a while, and it didn't work out very well. But the problem is then they have every person in a basement who's willing to lie and generate more clicks. And that happens both on the left and the right. The left is just more used to it because you used to have Brian Williams and Hillary Clinton doing it. But now you have people on the right who've, I don't even want to say people on the right, people who just see it as a business, right? This isn't about informing people or entertaining or enlightening. There are people right now who say, okay, if I spend X amount of dollars and generate X amount of clicks, I can be profitable.
Sure, but let's expand on this. Let's expand because obviously there's fake news with just websites that create a new URL every few months that sounds interesting, and then they run fake stories just to get clicks. I'm not even really advertising based, maybe 25% of what we do. I'm not even focused on trying to, send people to, advertisers. We have advertisers that we believe in, that we put up, that are high quality products. And so we have them beating down our door. So I'm not even in the clickbait model. I'm purely trying to use the web to communicate and educate people. 7% of what we do is just direct sales. Now, expanding on that, we don't find a really good response with a YouTube or a Facebook audience with our products. It is the AM and FM market of true conservatives and libertarians and people that actually support this operation. They realize it's a mission to wake people up. So, again, I'm pretty much at many levels not immune, but almost immune to this stuff. But it is designed to shut down other people out there who aren't, which is most new free thinkers like you or Gavin McInnes or countless others. Now, you're innovating, so obviously you're growing. That's the way to defeat the tyranny, defeat the censorship, in my experience, is just to get bigger and bigger because big fish eat little fish. But separately, the pure fake news that's there versus the mainline corporate leftist news that is the most dishonest there is out there. Yeah, they have no credibility. Obviously, their desperate attempt now, after imploding with the election, is to come out, define the new universe, and try to ban all of us, as the EU is calling for. And we're seeing the censorship. We're seeing the filters being applied. So your thoughts on that, and how do we counter it?
Well, it's funny because this could be an era with Donald Trump where, like I said, I'm optimistically skeptical. I'm glad with some cabinet picks, not so much others, but I hope that we readdress the net neutrality issue because that was one, the wool was pulled over a lot of people's eyes. They didn't exactly know what was going on there, and there's been a backdoor into, like you said, with the EU, with people who do want to silence voices of dissent. And all they need to do, Alex, is file it as hate speech or say that it's fake news. There is fake news. I understand a business responsibility, a fiduciary duty to shareholders, right, to get rid of actual fake news. For example, like, I don't know, Hillary Clinton eats children in a public park. Well, yeah, that's fake. But someone who has an unpopular opinion shouldn't be banned. And the problem is it's really hard to delineate, especially when you have a bunch of sprites in Silicon Valley sitting together in one big giant agreement fest to say, well, we don't like this person or their point of view. And that's a real problem. So, you know, like I said, you're immune. That's why we're building up this network and the Mug Club, as you talked about. We're trying to branch out more because, yeah, we're on a few stations. Actually, with your network there, GCN, I think we're on a dozen stations. But most of our viewership comes from podcasts, comes from YouTube, younger people. You know, we're in the Young Turks' backyard. And I learned that the hard way when we talked about this because we did the sketch, right? It's so funny that they've had millions of plays parodying the Young sketch, Alex. And I think this is indicative of someone's character. The Young Turks used to slam me all the time when we were a small channel under 100,000 subscribers. Now we have hundreds of millions of views, and we're making fun of them actively, and they never address it. They ask us to stop making fun of them and get our own fans. Well, what about when we were the little guy? All you did was stomp on us then. You punched down. And you're seeing that from the left, and they don't like being bullied back. And it's a real problem.
That's right, and it gets worse than that. I hate to go back to this, but it was one of the biggest things from the RNC viral. We walk by, it's all crowded in this media row. It's a converted parking garage with plastic walls up with air conditioners. And it's just, I mean, you can hardly walk with so much media. They wave us over. We say, yeah, we'll be back. Yeah, I saw them. I jumped on. Hey, how's everybody going? They blew up, lied about it all. And then I walk over after we leave an hour later, and everybody's calling going, your live video feed that you'd posted to YouTube, we were going live, has been deleted. And it didn't say by user, didn't say by YouTube, just gone. I go on air and say, you better put it back up. And they did put it back up.
Yours was deleted from your channel?
Yes, they were actually at the YouTube platform. YouTube was running their show, so somebody outside of their rights with them was deleting our videos. I mean, that shows the control they've got.
Well, to give you an idea, when YouTube started, right, I was on there, I did this video, the Quran Challenge, where I read verses from the Quran. I did the Three Stooges routine as Muhammad beating up my 6-year-old wife. By the way, if you don't want death threats, don't do that kind of thing. Anyone out there, it's just a small recommendation. This thing got millions of plays. This is early on in YouTube. And it was so auto-flagged, and it was put on these Mujahideen blog spots. This was in 2009. This was actually how I met Andrew Breitbart, by the way, because he saw how this thing blew up. And what happened was they would flag it, and there was an auto system on YouTube where it would be removed. So this video was removed for half the time because angry Islamists would go in, flag it as hate speech, or they'd put like 50,000 comments to try and bury other comments, repeat comments, so any comments critical of Islam. And I remember, this is true, 100% true, I won't give the name, but it was on one of the big 4 cable networks. Andrew Breitbart put me in touch with them, and I told him about this. I told him what was happening, the censorship, the threats. And he said, okay, Kate, if you die, it's a story. Click, and hung up. And that was my rude awakening into the world of traditional media.
Wow, where do you think all this is going? Because I can't think of a major newspaper that hasn't had one of their writers call for Trump to be murdered. There are, you know, Facebooks with hundreds of thousands of likes saying kill him. Hollywood directors are trying to organize his murder. Nothing's being done. I mean, where do you see all this going? Because I've seen the left go from being quirky and kind of insane to completely vicious, foaming at the mouth. We've got Newsweek saying, you know, a case for rioting was the headline. Meanwhile, they're claiming that Donald Trump in a headline, people are going to die because of Donald Trump was the headline because he mildly criticized a union head that said he didn't bring enough jobs back to Indiana. He tweeted back at the guy, so they said, quote, Donald Trump's going to get somebody killed. So they keep branding it that our speech is going to kill somebody when I'm not calling for violence. You're not calling for it. I mean, these people are crazy.
Well, first of all, I don't know about people who are actively plotting to get Donald Trump killed. I haven't read about that, but I do know the other things that you're taling about. And this is one thing, you know, I talked about
there have been like Silicon executives and others saying, I want to organize his murder, and Hollywood people saying, let's get him killed, and New York Times columnists saying he needs to be murdered.
Well, then they're not very good at it because they should make some private phone calls and not put it in a column. But they have been vitriolic. And I will say this. You know, I had a commentary on this last week with Donald Trump and the unions. You know, this was one issue that I had with Donald Trump where he was talking about bringing jobs back, but he didn't explicitly say, and we're not going to punish companies who are trying to escape the unions. And so a lot of union voters and union representatives voted for Donald Trump thinking it was a kickback to them. they're never going to be his friends. I hope he realizes that. And, you know,
I agree. What is their problem to come out and call him a liar and bad? Chuck Jones, the head of the union, when Trump brought back 85% of the jobs.
Well, here's the thing. It's like the UA, and that's what really bothered me with Michigan. Michigan voted for Trump. Some people, and I spoke with union reps saying, well, he's going to make sure that Ford stays here, and that's good for the UAW. Well, hold on a second. The UAW, 2 out of 3 every workers aren't working. You're paid 3-4 times as much as American workers for Honda, Toyota, Nissan. They make tons of cars in the United States. I was saying, so listen, I want Donald Trump to encourage people to keep business in America, but I also don't want them to punish people for trying to leave a state.
You know, that's a great point, because here's what's going to happen. Now that they think he's fully backing them, they're going to shake down the automakers worse.
Yeah, exactly. And they're never going to play nice with Donald Trump. And I know I've spoken with some people who have made it a part of his strategy just privately. They're like, well, listen, the Rust Belt, the unions, we can get them. A lot of these blue-collar workers, white Americans, I get it. But there needs to be the realization you need to call these people out. And you need to make sure the companies understand.
I know, but Stephen, that's my point, is he barely called the guy out and said you couldn't even keep the jobs. And then they called it a death threat in the Washington Post. They implied that he's going to get people killed because he disagrees with them. I mean, this is a new standard of claiming we're violent.
Right, and that's why I think Donald Trump should just continually call them out and be even less merciful with them. Because, listen, and you know this all too well, in the unions, the Michigan, particularly Hoffa, they're basically mobsters. But as far as, going back to the news issue, I think it's kind of what I'm doing, and obviously what you're doing, and what other sites are doing. People need to accept that there aren't going to be nearly as many giant mega sites or billionaires, but there are going to be far more 100,000-aires or millionaires. People can have their own digital plot of land. People can have their own website and make a good living, but not if you have a classic corporate cost structure. And I've watched a lot of these cable networks. I've watched them try to work and do their stuff online, and they're just applying a cable news model online.
No, exactly. What's going to happen is you're going to have thousands and thousands of really great, truly diverse choices and real journalism and people in every corner of the country, every sector, every angle, every niche being covered. That's the future, is an entire pantheon of choices, not the big giant dinosaurs. They're over. And would you agree, though, this election signals the final collapse of MSM?
I don't know if it signals the final. I think it's certainly coming. And I think one thing that people need to accept is that will also come with crap. So, for example, right, you have cable. What do you have? You have thousands of choices, right? Before you had only a few networks. So what do you get? Well, you get Breaking Bad. You get Walking Dead. But you also get Hallmark Christmas films. So you get some fantastic content, and you also get some crap that'll always be profitable for a certain, gosh, I hope Hallmark Christmas films are not a sponsor to anyone, are they? I apologize if that's the case. But the point remains, that's going to happen online. I
think they're going to put my film Amerigeddon on there, the greatest film ever made.
They're going to put it right next to a Candace Cameron, Hey, Dear Santa film. And then
that is actually where it's going to air. No, listen, I get what you're saying. Listen, Steven Crowder, thank you for coming on. You're doing an amazing job. And with your permission, I am going to rip off your cup. No, I'm joking. Hey, thank you so much, Steve. It's great having you on with us.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You bet. It's good to look at how the inside technicals work on all this. And so since we're talking about that, when we come back, I am going to talk to Larry Nichols about the latest on what's happening from his connections. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central, we're here. Coming up in the 4th hour, Roger Stone will be hosting the show with John E. Hunt. E. Howard Hunt, of course, was his father, the guy that ran the Kennedy assassination and gave the deathbed confession. The Coast to Coast AM and InfoWars.com were able to premiere. And he's also got another guest, Matt Boyle, joining him. You don't want to miss that in the 4th hour. Pastor James David Manning's going to pop in for 30 minutes at the start of the next hour. I'm going to take some phone calls. He doesn't like Trump now. He met with Trump. He liked Trump. And now he's calling him Revelation Trump. So I don't know what's going on with Manning. He's really an entertaining guy. Smart guy, too. But he's put out some of the most unintentional comedy I've ever seen lately. I can't play it here on air, but I mean, there's some viral memes online with Manning that are just, it's like, if I'm down or something, or I got to do some midnight interview, and a cup of coffee isn't going to work, and I don't even drink anymore. Sometimes that'll be a beer or something to wake me up in the middle of the night. Even though it's a depressant, it'll work as a stimulant if I just have like one beer. No, I'll just watch Manning sit there and give his theory on blowtorches. But he's going to be joining us That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm tempted to play it here, but it's a family audience. So that's coming up. Yeah, I shouldn't be laughing. It's such a serious time to be alive right now. I want to walk through the Electoral College because the 19th, we're talking 5 days away, they supposedly vote. And then on the 6th, they're supposed to have them in and start announcing what happened with it. And then I guess they're going to have some big debate in Congress. We'll go over all those numbers. Nancy Pelosi's daughter and a Democrat PR firm run by the Clintons are the ones behind this. And they got the CIA involved, even though the other major defense agencies say that, no, they're not concurring with it. And I've talked to folks in the CIA, and they say this is not the main CIA doing it. It's why they're saying it's a secret report. People are like, you know people in the CIA? That's all Hollywood. The CIA is a big deal. It's bigger than Coca-Cola. It's all over the place. When Jesse Ventura got elected governor, the first week they said, so the folks would like to meet with you in the basement of the Capitol. There was 25 CIA people in there. They look like little old ladies, you name it. All it is just a shadow government. And it's disgraceful to be involved with it, especially today. So give me a break. I'm so proud that we're organic and original and just came out of the soil of Texas. That's what's powerful. What's organic, what's real, what's truth-based. Not a bunch of Ivy League kids, snot-noses, wanting to think they're better than everybody. So, CIA and all these movies about the CIA and The Rock is in the CIA and he's cool and this couple keep up with the Joneses, they're CIA and they're cool. Hell, old Larry can tell you about the CIA, not a very good group, not a very good organization. Now, before I go any further here, briefly, my dad is a dentist, a retired and oral surgeon and a chemist, and we set about, for 2 years, about a year after I started INFOWAR's Life, to try to come up with a toothpaste that had colloidal silver in it. And it was just really hard to get it in there and keep it in nano form. And we also thought about doing an iodine. My dad said, let me work with the big companies. And he did this. Took him a year. He even came up with the name and the graphic. He came up with a DNA for us as well. And it's super blue. We're going to have a new graphic soon. People kind of like the graphic. I mean, my dad made it. It's kind of real simple. Fluoride-free toothpaste. It's made by the folks that make the most popular brand in the country. But when you sign these third-party agreements to manufacture, they obviously don't want you to use the brand name, so I'm just going to leave it at that. No, I'm not going to break the contract rules, but let's just say this is the highest quality there is. Nobody's got this with iodine and silver. And peppermint and tea tree oil. It's amazing. And it comes out of the tube white, and it turns blue when it oxidizes, because that's the real color, blue-purple, of true iodine. Not red. Bound iodine that you don't absorb most of it. That's what's red. That's the stuff, you drink the stuff from, the store, it'll kill you. This is true iodine. And I thought it would take us months to sell out how much my dad ordered. I said, you just do whatever you want, Dad, because he's involved with our supplement company. And boom. This is amazing. We've already sold half of this in 24 hours, so we're going to put another big order in. And there's no reviews on it yet at InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com. We also have free shipping until Friday. We may extend the free shipping, but the last day we can guarantee you get it before Christmas in Hawaii or Alaska or anywhere in the lower 48 is Friday. Your support is needed. We've got big discounts, 30% off on a bunch of items, 50% off on our Silver Bullet, colloidal silver. That the same stuff sold at Whole Foods, discounted for $19. $25 is what it usually costs. InfoWarsLife.com is a subsidiary of InfoWarsStore.com. Living Defense, 30% off. Silver Bullet, 50% off. Brain Force with 20% more in each bottle, 33% off. Winter Sun, 25% off. Survival Shield X2, that's what's in the toothpaste, 30% off. Bio True Selenium, 30% off. You talk about cellular health, colloidal silver, iodine with tea tree oil and peppermint and more. InfoWarsLife.com. It's all there. Great place to do your Christmas shopping and more. Now, after Larry leaves us and after Manning leaves us, I'm going to go over the most unintentional comedy ever. Can we tweet out this fake media list? Just tweet it out in my name on my Twitter, Real Alex Jones, saying more unintentional comedy from state-run media. And it says the trusted, nonpartisan media is the New York Times, the Washington Post, BBC, and NPR, because that's all basically state-run. NPR and BBC are officially state-run. It's come out in the WikiLeaks. The New York Times is run by the Democrats and George Soros. So is the Washington Post. I mean, this is hilarious. The most trusted in the bullseye But you could just invert this and you know, on the bottom have state-run media and on the top of independent media. Doesn't mean independent's perfect, but this is ridiculous. Look at this. They have over on the right-hand side, right-wing and the worst, quote, utter garbage. That's a nice scientific word. Conservative conspiracy theories. INFOWARS is the lowest. In the area of hyper-partisan, Beck's the worst. I am the worst total. Breitbart next worst, Daily Caller next. So that shows you how the White House, who they really hate. I am so proud to be listed as the absolute worst disinformation out there, which tells you it's the opposite. We're the best info. Told you Trump was going to win. Told you Hillary tried to steal it, but our guest told you that Hillary wouldn't give up and would go after the electors. He was on the week after the election 4 weeks ago, and now Larry Nichols, Clinton Chronicles guy, admitted, you know, guy behind him running for governor, wouldn't go along with them killing kids in Mena, Arkansas, and the drugs being flown in, former Green Beret. He's here to give us his breakdown and from his sources. But he was calling me 2 weeks ago, they're going after the electors. Watch, it's going to get bad. I go, look, I know. Well, now people were laughing about this. Now they're not laughing. This is amazing. We've got some new developments there I'll go over as well. Larry Nichols is our guest. Larry, wow, a lot's happened since we talked 4 weeks ago.
You bet. Excuse me for not getting dressed up for the occasion, but I didn't today. Listen, Alex, there are 38 electoral votes that if they flip, Trump's not president, Hillary is. And as you know, Nancy Pelosi's daughter announced that they've got 30 of the electors that want the confidential CIA intelligence files about Russia.
Now, don't you love that? The CIA or a rogue element of it is going to, quote, go talk to the electors. That's translated a CIA coup of the popular vote in the states.
Right. Listen, y'all, that means literally translated, they've got 30 that are just looking for some social excuse to flip their vote.
Cover. They're looking for cover.
That's right. Now, that means there are 8 left. When those 8 go, and I'm not so sure they don't have them, I was warned this morning. I told you this morning. I got a call from somebody inside the new prosecutor's office that pointed out that this is going on big time. They have uncovered a major serious movement. They call it a plot.
You're saying you got a call from Sessions' office?
From his office, from the new one, yes.
Now, it's been reported
did not talk to him. But I talked to one of his hirelings that's going to be a hireling. As a matter of fact, the Inquirer got the same lead. On the 19th, they're coming out with a story about it. However, that's the 19th, a little bit too late. So, yeah, it's coming. Alex, Hillary, Soros, and them, you've known it for years. They're the largest criminal organization in the history of the world. And they are that close to having our country. When if they have our country, they've got the world. Do you think they're going to walk away when all they got to do is get 38 of these electors to flip their vote, and legally the electors can do it?
And Larry, I just had for TV viewers, the crew, punch up the background to dark blood red because, you know, we get so close to this crisis, we get so close to evil, we get kind of comfortable with it, even though we don't like it. And I'm sitting here looking at the tea leaves. I had a bad feeling on election night, and Roger Stone said, man, it's 3 a.m., celebrate. And I said, no, they're going to try to kill him. They're going to try to take the electors. They're going to start a war. They're going to do a false flag. I know them. This upsets their whole operation because Trump's a nationalist. He's not perfect, but he's a nationalist. And I know them. They're not going to give up. And now, when I saw Soros the next week double the amount of money to Black Lives Matter, meaning doubling the amount of money to civil insurrection, and then cops started getting killed almost every day, shot in the back of the head, it shows they're warming up the Civil War. And then CNN said Monday, and again yesterday, we want a national emergency. First they said, oh, Trump's causing one. Then they said, we need Obama to declare one and not let Trump get in. They're officially running a coup with the CIA in front of us. This is like having the mafia go to a grand jury and telling them they better vote different. This is unbelievable. I mean, I can't believe they're this bold, Larry. Larry, I'll tell you something, though. I kind of welcome this because they are jumping the shark. I mean, they are jumping a 10 trillion pound shark, brother. And, you know, that didn't go too well for Fonzie. I mean, these people are nuts. I mean, if they really try this, I always said, let them steal it and get Hillary in. It's probably better for the awakening. I mean, I think these people are nuts. They're crazy.
Alex, they're not trying it. They're doing it. Please, y'all, hear me.
So you're saying they are intending. Okay, then let's break this down. Because I've got the dates, but they're saying it's nebulous. It's between the 19th and the 6th when they finally announce the votes. How do you expect this to be rolled out?
We'll know on the 20th that they flipped it to Trump or to Hillary. We'll know. They might keep it secret to kind of get some.
Start over and say that again, because I want to take this clip in a YouTube and Facebook video and have you at the front say that and then come back. I mean, say that because I was interrupting you. You're saying it's already happening. What's happening?
It's happening. Here's what they're doing. On the 19th, they're going to have 38 of the Electoral College members that were dutifully supposed to vote for Trump. However, legally, they are free to vote their will. They are going to flip their votes. And on the 19th, Donald Trump will no longer be president. We won't hear about it officially until the 6th, but you'll hear about it before then. They'll start laying the cover and the groundwork right after the 19th. When they're certain they've got those votes in their hands, they'll start laying the cover and the groundwork of what to do in case there's pushback. Now, Alex, I'm telling you, guys, please hear me. You know, I told you they were going to do this. How could I have known, Alex, right after the election this was coming? They're not going to walk away from the powerful position that they have worked all their lives for, that this criminal organization has spent years trying to get. They finally get it in place. They finally get the media in exactly the place they want them. They finally, believe it or not, get the American people in the place they want them to where, okay, so you catching us lying, so what? There's nothing you can do about it. That's where we are. Alex, who can you call the day after if this is done successfully? Who are you going to call? No one.
And that's why they've gotten rid of any real journalist and have got the green light for media that's proven they'll lie, they'll cheat, they'll steal. My friend, they are taking clips of me now on totally separate subjects and editing it together with other quotes I've made and putting it on NPR, and then that's picked up and put in newspapers. I say Hillary's responsible personally for running al-Qaeda and ISIS. They killed hundreds of thousands of people, thousands of kids, chopped up, murdered, raped, killed. They cut that together and say, I say Hillary's raping kids in the bottom of a pizzeria. I've never seen the press go to that level of deception.
Alex, did you get my warning this morning? That person from the Attorney General to be office gave me another little warning. Alex, if they pull this off, you're number one on the list. You're going to be gone, buddy. INFOWARs will be toast. You have been successful at getting first in line attention from Hillary. Now remember, when they say fake news, when Hillary comes out saying this fake news is running the risk, by the way, they're going to come at you with inciting riots, inciting anarchy. They're going to come at you. They're going to come at you, Allie. They're going to come at all of us, I guess.
Sure, they're going to blame the unrest trying to steal it from Trump on us.
That's right. That's right. Now, what the Clintons do since the day I was with them, and I helped design this system, so I know it so well. What you always do is you accuse your enemy of exactly what you're doing.
Sure, so just like she got money from the Chinese and the Saudi Arabians publicly, they bragged about it. Then she just turns it around. She got money from the Russians. Then she turns it around and blames it on Trump.
Exactly. Now, you figure it out for yourself. Do you think when Donald Trump's out there talking about how he's going to arm up our military, make it the greatest military on earth, how he's going to get tough in negotiating, do you really think Putin would rather have Trump than Hillary? Get real. Get real. Never happened. Never happened. I'm telling you, they are coming. They're coming, and they're planning to take this election, and they know, just like I do and just like you do, Alex, if they don't, their power's gone forever.
Well, that's why is their backs against the wall, and they don't believe Trump when he says, oh, I'm going to leave you alone now. They think he's going to go after him because he's putting Sessions in. What do we do, though? The military and police are pretty much awake. What are our ace in the hole cards here? I mean, we got to discredit the fact that these electors are being run by the Clintons, and this is racketeering.
Well, you got to remember this, folks. 80 to 85% of all the electors in this country belong either to the National Democratic Party or the state Democratic Party from which they come. So now you've got a favorable crowd of people just sitting there. You also know that they're going to claim, hey, she won the popular vote. Now we find out Russia was involved. We've got plenty of reason to challenge Trump being president.
Well, they're already saying with CIA people that we want a new election, or maybe just, will they just install Hillary and have her have convulsions in front of everyone?
No, it'll just be announced. Alex, it'll just be announced.
And then they've got to shut down alternative media. Then they've got to go to full tyranny, though.
That's right. That's why I'm telling you it was getting...
You know, Larry Nichols is telling me some pretty wild stuff during the break. You can see it. They're attacking me on NPR, CNN, The Daily Show, saying things about Sandy Hook out of context I haven't said, saying things about Pizzagate and all the rest of this, trying to say I'm going to cause violence. But they're also saying in the Washington Post, Donald Trump's going to get people killed, the headline, because he sent a tweet back to the union saying, I brought back 85% of the jobs. You couldn't keep them. What's your problem? Oh, my God, you're going to cause riots, Donald Trump. You're going to cause a national emergency. CNN saying Trump's going to cause a national emergency. The next day they call for Obama to bring in a national emergency. And then Larry Nichols, and I know he's got some of these sources. I've talked to the Inquirer and others, and they go, yeah, he's one of our main sources. And I talk to people in Congress. They say, yeah, no, we know Nichols for decades. He says he's talking to one of Sessions' senior people today, and they were telling him, well, go ahead and repeat it all for folks right now.
You bet, Alex. What they're going to come at you for right now or very soon. Nancy Pelosi is trying to find 2 congressmen, Democratic congressmen, to bring suit against you immediately. I do not know if she has them yet, but she's doing it, and she's going to sue you, or they're going to sue you for inciting, oh, Lord, my mind just went blank, but basically
inciting civil insurrection is what you told me.
Civil unrest. That's what they're coming at you for. And then the purpose is to get you in federal court, and they'll have a federal judge that the minute it hits court, they will suspend your operation until it can be adjudicated. Now, that's what they're planning for you. And God knows what they're planning for you if she gets to be president and her people take over. It's not going to be pretty. Alice, look. If anybody doesn't want to believe any of this, good God, just look. Just look. Are you telling me the mainstream media, Alex, is not going to touch the fact that there are electors right now, regardless of how many, there are electors right now willing to flip their vote and vote for Trump? But do you see ABC, NBC, and CBS talk about it? No.
No, they're just saying Trump's a Russian, Alex Jones is a Russian, Tucker Carlson's a Russian. That level of rhetoric is incredible. And it's, well, they are saying it's the right thing to do to flip their votes and have a new election. This is, we're being brought into martial law. And I want to explain something to all the rest of the media out there. If they're able to shut INFOWARs down, because we're so effective, they know we reach tens of millions of people a day now, they can shut everybody else down next.
That's
just
right.
as Matt Drudge came here last year and told us, he was told by a Supreme Court justice, by 2016, they plan to shut it down. If Hillary won, she said, we're going to shut down the alt-right. But listen, under the First Amendment, under common law, under all of this, unless they bring in full martial law, which CNN's calling for, they won't be able to shut us down and have prior restraint. The way the law works is malice of forethought, intent to do harm. I'm not calling for violence. I don't have a history of violence. They try to connect me to things. They're the ones that lie about WMDs, launch huge wars. It's Newsweek and Time that have said stuff like it's time to riot. Their writers say kill Donald Trump. They're saying the same things about me that you're saying privately, publicly already, brother. And they're saying it about Trump. So I've told Trump, and other people have, he needs to get on the offense now. So let's talk about that. Because, by the way, put me in this briar patch. I mean, this is legendary, like the King of England coming after John Hancock and George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. I mean, because look, they're already saying shut me up, and they're already saying shut up Trump. So it just shows what absolute scum these people are. I mean, I could not be given a greater medal, my friend.
Well, think about this, Alex. Do you believe it's accidental that Hillary went to Washington for whoever's getting rid of, what's his name, the Senate leader, Harry, whatever, Reid? Do you think it's odd that she would go and she would talk about fake news and how it's killing people? Isn't that a weird comment?
No, that's all there. Obama said it in 5 countries.
Yeah.
He said we got to shut it down. He said state-run media to Rolling Stone. No, I know. It's clear. They're making a move. Trump's the counter coup to just put the country back on life support. They know we're kicking the hell out of them, and they don't know how media works. If they shut me down, it's like Darth Vader cutting down Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hold
on, we're back in 1 minute. Oh, man, I'm excited. This is great news. Woo! Yeah! Forcing them right out in the open. Their fall's imminent. All right, Larry Nichols is our guest. Got another guest coming in at the next segment. You know, what he's saying, I know he has these sources, but I can see it in the news. They're calling for shutting us down. They misrepresent what we say, what we do. It's all covered under the First Amendment. You know, they say, I say nobody died at Sandy Hook. What I said is, Anderson Cooper turns, we've shown, and his nose disappears. It's a blue screen or green screen. And CNN's been caught saying they're in the field when they're not during the Iraq War, the first one. And then they've got cars driving while they're interviewing Nancy Grace and another lady, and you see the same car driving behind them in a circle. It's all fake. Now, I don't know, when I say all fake, the broadcast star. I don't know if people died there or not. I know there's real mass shootings. They go, well, he said it didn't happen. He's going to cause death. You're the ones causing death running around. I'm covered. But it shows you're going for broke. Then I cover what's in the weird Podesta emails, and Eric Prince comes out and says he has sources that it's pedophilia, and you got Clinton caught, you know, on the Lolita Express and all this pedophilia crap going on. And then they just change the subject because it's about pizza codes to some pizza place that Podesta goes to, and then say that I'm saying all this when it came from Reddit and everywhere, and then say, oh, look, he's backpedaling. No, I'm not. I'm not saying the people at that pizza place are doing anything. We covered an internet investigation. Then they say, oh, a guy went in there with a gun, so you got to take Alex Jones off the air. Good luck. Good luck. You're going to take us to the next level. They've miscalculated just like they failed and tried to steal it from Trump and it blew up in their face. It's the same thing. We've got providence. And this is how tyrants end up falling. This is history. But Trump needs to get out on the offensive as well, because they're calling for banning the president off of Twitter, saying he's a, quote, bully. They're shooting high, folks. They're shooting at me. They're shooting at him. This is big. This is dangerous. Larry, you were talking during the break. You said the way to expose this is sunshine. Expose their plan. They'll have to crawl back in their rat hole. So what do folks do?
Let me tell you, if you want proof of this, there's a reason they're not talking about flipping votes on the mainstream news. There's a reason, because it would make people rise up. So I'm telling you, every one of you out there now, you start spreading the word. Don't make yourself look crazy. Just tell the facts. Tell the facts. 28 states, the electors can vote any way they want to, regardless of the popular vote. Tell the facts. They've said it. Nancy Pelosi's daughter's got 30 that want the secret intelligence.
And by the way, that's now in the news today. And let me just add here, because you're absolutely right. Notice they didn't try to announce the day that Trump won they were going to try to steal it, because everybody was awake. They'd get angry. They waited until Christmas came. Everybody was happy. We went to sleep. Now they're making their move. We've got to raise the alarm.
Got to raise the alarm, people. You've got to wake up. These people cannot function when the light is exposed on them. That's why they hate INFOWARs and Alex Jones. That's why they hate the people like Drudge that do come out and give you the whole story. Listen, spread the word. Spread the word. That's what they're trying to do. Hey, listen, Alex at work, how do you think Trump got elected? Everybody was told Trump couldn't win. Trump couldn't win. It was your audience and other people throughout this country that went out and said, no, that's a lie. He can win. The polls are a lie. And you know what? They did.
And it was just because Drudge gets more credit than anybody, because he would put up whenever they were having voterless victories for Ted Cruz. It was just that image that defeated them. And then he even came out and said, it's lies like that on Drudge. Drudge used to be pretty good. It's lies like that is why I'm losing. No, you had voterless victory. So again, they can't have Breitbart. They can't have INFOWARs. Right. They can't have Drudge. And folks, we've got to, but as you said, don't you think exposing them will force them to back off? I mean, they're bold.
Yes.
They've got to go to full martial law to shut me up.
Listen, if we expose it and people are aware of it, and they know people by the millions are aware of it, now all of a sudden they're not going to be quite as bold on the legal remedies that we might have in return. Look, if this is a conspiracy, which you know it is, And they do this to steal this election under false and libelous pretense. Then, yeah, that's a crime.
Well, listen, let me do this. And I know you're a busy guy. Let me have you back up tomorrow, if you can, Larry, to actually walk through what your source was telling you. And you said they were pretty freaked out. But what your source told you is what's in the news. But I'm glad that Senator Sessions is looking into this. Thank you so much. And later in the broadcast, I'm going to put your address up for folks as well. You know, I don't have to believe Larry Nichols, even though about 95% of what he's always told me has come true. I know for a fact they have had thousands of news articles. It's got to be 5,000, because I get the Google alerts. Sometimes it's 1,000 a day. Usually it's a couple hundred. Probably more than 5,000. Just lying, taking quotes out of context. I'm talking about Syria and Hillary being responsible for kids getting raped, murdered, and cut up. They say I'm talking about some pizza place. I mean, you next level deception. And they're doing it to Trump, putting up quotes where he hates people and saying it's true, and then they later admit it's not true. It's next level deception. And now in colleges they're saying don't even say holiday. That's politically incorrect because somebody might not have a holiday in their religion or their group. Wonder Woman's banned because she's, quote, attractive and white at the UN. This is a cult. And the Republican establishment's against Trump. The Democratic establishment's against Trump. And Pastor Manning, who I really like, he's a funny guy and he's smart. By smart, he always has great angles on things. He's been coming on the show, I don't know, 6, 7 years, something, or maybe 8 years, I don't know. He's got Otla, good church there in Harlem, helping folks. And he's gone up against bad guys like Al Sharpton. And he's also got some of the just funniest rants I've ever seen. We might play one, but it's not quite family-oriented. I guess he is a pastor. Maybe he can approve it for us. The fire clip, because maybe we'll get him to repeat it for us live on air. He joins us, Atlah, ATLAH.org. But he hadn't been on in a few weeks. And I said, hey, let's get him back on. And I hadn't been able to follow what he's doing lately because I've been real busy like everybody else has. And his secretary goes, now, Pastor Manning doesn't like Trump now. You need to check that out. You still want him on? I said, yeah, sure. So I don't know exactly what he's saying. Because, I've been so busy because they're trying to steal the election right now. Whether you love Trump or hate him, they're trying to get the electors to flip right now. Hillary's all convulsing all over the place, saying ban fake news. Obama's on TV and in speeches and in the Rolling Stone last week saying, we need to shut down the fake news. And, of course, I'm the chief supposed fake news. I mean, what's fake? All I do is sit here and show you what I'm talking about. I mean, the mainstream media is putting out this graph showing fake news. They say BBC, the Washington Post, and the New York Times are totally nonpartisan, bipartisan, with no bias, and are totally truthful. That is the most ridiculous crap. We have WikiLeaks, the Washington Post, NPR, all these people directing the lies. So, I mean, this is just ridiculous. What's fake news? No, I have my own cutting analysis. And I have guests on. They don't control what we say. And they hate it. So they're trying to overturn the Trump election, and Manning met with Trump, said he liked Trump. We're going to find out right now why he doesn't like Trump, because I want to get folks on that, to keep us honest here. And I don't like some of these appointments Trump's done. I like some of them. Now, if he goes sideways once he gets in, doesn't try to get this initiative done, doesn't try to bring the jobs back, I'm going to be mad. But so far, lots of jobs coming back. Japanese $50 billion investment, $10 billion steel mills, Carrier coming back, Ford plants coming back. Another big company came out and announced IBM, 25,000 more workers. It goes on and on. So let's find out from Pastor Manning exactly what's going on from right there in Harlem, New York City. So, Pastor Manning, first off, I really like that purple shirt. That's sharp.
Thank you, sir. I like it, too. I wore it just for you. Well,
I got to tell you, they're going to say it's a secret code, though, that you're part of the Hillary Purple Revolution. It's code.
Well, I'm not a part of Hillary anything unless it's to diabolically remove her.
No, I know you don't like her. So what's going on with Trump?
Well, I haven't been on the broadcast for a couple of months. I thought I would be responsible and respectful of you. When I withdrew my support from Trump, I didn't want to come on your broadcast and slam him while you were in full support of him. You have to remember, I supported Trump perhaps even before you did. I think you were with Ted Cruz for quite some time. I jumped on the Trump bandwagon. In fact, we wrote that song, the Trump Train. It came out of our ministry. One of our members wrote it, and one of our members performed it. So when I recognized that Trump had made some commitments to me and our group when we were with him at Trump Tower going back over a year ago. And I felt with those kinds of commitments, I'd go ahead and stick my head out and endorse a politician, something I'd never done before, Alex. I'd never endorsed any politician previously. But I was encouraged by what Trump said, and I had some really, really kind and exalting, if you will, words to say about him. But shortly after he made those commitments to me and to our group of what at the time were black pastors, if you will, and others, he walked all that back. In fact, he demonstrated emphatically that he had no intentions of keeping the commitments he made to us. Well, then I felt not obligated to keep my commitment to him.
Okay, well, let's talk about those commitments then, because I don't know about any of this. Just to be clear, up front, I was probably more of a Rand Paul supporter and a Cruz guy, because I didn't really know Trump. But early on, when they started really hating Trump and going after him, that's when I started to really look into him. So I'd say I was a Trump supporter pretty much from the beginning of the campaign. But I mean, I think your statement overall is correct that I was a Cruz fan until he started stabbing folks in the back. But please go ahead.
Yeah, and so to enumerate the promises that Trump made, one is that it was expressed in that meeting of some 85 pastors that day that we were concerned about the issue of same-sex marriage that had been forged by the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, and the Supreme Court had gone ahead and acquiesced, illegally ordering all states to perform same-sex marriages under penalty of law, with that case coming out of Ohio. Well, we had said that we didn't want our churches to be intimidated, or pastors who believe the word of God to have to submit themselves to the authority of the Supreme Court when we had already submitted ourselves to the authority of all.
Sure, so what did Trump do? Because I'll say this is one of the real criticisms conservatives could have, is what he said about be nice to LGBT and all that during his nomination speech in Cleveland, the other stuff. But he is appointing folks that are saying states' rights. And so he has kind of the left bashing him on, that side of the situation. But he has said he wants to get a bill in to have the IRS leave churches alone and let them be independent again.
Well, Alex, you've known me for 8 years. I've been coming on your broadcast for 8 years, and thank God for that. But the IRS, they've never tried to tell me what to say, and they better not, because it ain't going to work. It ain't going to happen. But going back to what Trump did, and what caused me to take back my endorsement, was that he demonstrated emphatically and said about the Kim Davis event, who was arrested for refusing to issue a marriage license to two men there in Kentucky. When Trump was asked about that question, he said that Kim Davis ought to obey the law. It's the law of the land, obey it. When Bruce Jenner was at his building, he was asked by a reporter, would Bruce Jenner be allowed to use any bathroom within his facility, male or female? He said Bruce Jenner could use any bathroom he wanted. I'm a pastor of a church. We have a school. We got little girls. We got women. My wife and mothers go into bathroom. I just don't want a man going in the bathroom.
Sure. The left is calling for urinals to be put in women's bathrooms. They want to end the gender roles, scramble us all together. They make it like we hate somebody we don't. No. I mean, I get it. Listen, I always told leftists this. I said, listen, you're all mad at him at all this made-up stuff that he's this big right-winger, when in a lot of ways he's liberal. My issue with Trump is he does want to break globalism and bring jobs back. I see your point as a Christian that he is pretty darn liberal on some things, and I think that's a legitimate issue, and it's actually a real conservative criticism of Trump. That's what I'm really sick of with the left, though.
Somebody's going to find the statement I made about Trump where I said he was understanding, patient, and wise. Somebody's going to find that and play that and stick it in my face because I said it. But here,
but I mean, what I'm saying is that he's not out to get us. He just tries to be nice to everybody. And I know I can see what.
You can't do that. But let me complete this. What happened was I withdrew my support, and I was good with that. I stood before the church. I had to humbly eat crow and tell a congregation that I've led for 35 years here in Harlem that I'm withdrawing my support. Okay, I got past that. But then I started getting attacked like they attack you on issues. And you know how they come at us. And I'm open. I know that, listen, I dish it out. I expect it to come back. But when they started attacking me, I had to start defending myself. And that's when I started dropping down heavy on Trump. and pointing out some obvious things that people were saying that just weren't
true. I think it is real opposition is what needs to be heard to keep him on the straight and narrow. He's got people around him pushing him in a certain direction, particularly, obviously, his daughter and people who are great folks, but that's where that liberalism's coming from. It was his daughter and others that convinced him to go nice in the first debate and that Hillary was going to be nice. She set him up. He figured it out. I just don't think Trump's evil, but go ahead. I mean, tell us what you think about Trump.
Here, my position is now, after having taken back my endorsement and watched his maneuvering as a politician to gain the nomination and then from there to win the election, which I don't think that he necessarily thought that he was going to win. I have watched him, and I discussed earlier today, he very well may be made-to-order businessman, real estate developer, deal maker, par excellence. We probably never seen anybody or anything like him. But I think that he possesses a group of talents and also fallacies and flaws that are extraordinarily glaring when it comes to the well-being of a nation of which he is now being called to lead. For instance, I agree. I think his daughter and others convinced him to go liberal. I believe also that Trump is a New York liberal. Like Ted Cruz said, I don't think he's a conservative. I don't think he has a conservative bone, but I think in his body, but I think that he has some potentials and some flaws that are deadly with respect to a nation and also to the people that gave their lives in support of him. And one case in point, and I'll stop talking for a moment. For 8 years, Alex, I was on your broadcast talking about the fact that Barack Hussein, or the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, the quasi-Muslim freak, was not eligible to be the president of the United States of America.
Okay.
And having done so in Harlem, New York, the most recognized place for...
I got to do this hard break. We're going to come back and see where you're going with this. But look, all I know is Hillary's trying to steal the election right now. We could be dealing with Hillary Clinton. My gut tells me Trump wants prosperity. That's why the elite hate him. And we need, as patriots, to let our voice be heard. Pastor Manning, I like you, and I know you're a smart guy, so I like to have people on who actually do really disagree with Trump on some real issues. And I've just said all along, it is that he's too liberal on social issues is the only real criticism I could have. So, again, if somebody has legitimate criticisms, I'll hear it. I go out at anti-Trump rallies. It's a bunch of people with the rainbow flag screaming, he wants to kill gay people. And it's like, no, he doesn't. And they just don't care about the truth. He wants to kill Mexicans. He wants to deport black people to Africa. But if you look at some of the liberal background, that's real. But then what's made the elite so scared of him? That's not a put on. They're trying to get the electors right now to flip. They may do it. They're talking about civil war, all the rest of it, to keep him out of office. So why is the Pope and the Communist Chinese and the Saudi Arabians dumping in money against him? Why are they claiming he works for the Ruskies? Again, I agree with you on the liberal stuff. You're right. But I mean, still, why is the enemy so against him, Pastor Manning?
Well, I can tell you this. They may try to undo the election. They've got two chances of doing that, both slim and none. It ain't going to happen. It would be totally unprecedented in our American judicial system and legal system.
So is Obamacare. Obamacare is a foreign tax.
Yeah, but they're not going to do it. Trump is going to, he's going to walk into the Oval Office under whatever circumstances he walk in. But there are people, even people that are...
Let me ask you this question. My gut told me when he won that night, they're not going to let him get in or they're going to die trying. My gut tells me that they're going to try to stop him. And what does your gut tell you?
Well, I felt the same thing. Quite frankly, Alex, when I say something like that on the air, I get visits from the FBI, that they're going to kill the president. So I'll let you say it, and see what they do with you. But, I think he's going to walk in, but there's a long way between now and January 20th. I can tell you that right now. But I'm not in favor of overturning the election. I don't think we should. I think the election was won, whether by hook or crook. I'm not so sure I got all that confidence in our voting in the electoral system anyway. But he won it, he got it, let him walk in. But I think that one of the things I want to say to your listeners, your audience people, because they may not have caught this, they may not understand it. You understand the liberal aspect. You understand I'm a pastor. I've built my life on the word of God.
No, I understand. You want prosperity. You want people to be doing good. But at the same time, you got problems with the fact it's too liberal.
I want people living in mansions, but I cannot abdicate the strength of the word of God. But I think what is happening of recent, and some of your listeners may have problems with, is that people have viciously attacked me when I withdrew my endorsement or when I pointed up some things that I thought.
No, that's not right. I mean, here's the deal. We can't just
and I can't let people attack me without attacking back. It ain't gonna happen. I got to defend my position.
Well, listen, I'm not in some cult. I mean, look. If Trump doesn't deliver on massive jobs and good Supreme Court appointments, that's my litmus test. I'm going to go Tasmanian devil politically as well. But I'm going to see if he delivers. I mean, look, I get him trying to bring America together. And I'm more liberal than you, I guess, socially. I don't approve of what they're doing with kids, how they're targeting people, but I don't hate folks at the same time. But I do love God. But I'm not a preacher like you are, so I got to say I'm not as pious. And I mean that respectfully. But, I mean, look, he's not Hillary Clinton. If he just delivers an anti-globalist message, and that shuts down their program right there.
I think that it's important for us to understand that nobody wanted Hillary, not even black people. They didn't want her because Obama begged like a little boy trying to get a date with a girl for prom to get Hillary in. They rejected him, and it's a firm rejection. And not only that, Alex, but it's a rejection on his 8 years of failed policy as a president.
Sure.
He's a failure policy.
Well, what do you make of him so far, though? He really is asking corporations to move into the inner city areas. He's actually making those phone calls. CEOs have come out and said that's what he says in the calls.
Well, I'd have to verify and look closely at where he's going to get the workforce to do that. The inner city, the biggest one is Harlem, New York. Right now, we're not ready for manufacturing.
Well, I mean, obviously, he brings it in close. Then that brings in people, maybe even from outside, but that brings money into the area. It brings investment.
Well, they've tried that with gentrification. They've tried it in New York, Washington, Philadelphia, Detroit, and other places, and it has failed. It just isn't. I mean, you're going to listen. Germans have a certain kind of a mindset of perfection. Therefore, Cisco Systems and other corporations in Germany tend to get a really good worker. Rural people in America and the hinterlands outside of the urban areas tend to be better workers than urban workers.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care if they're black or white. Something about multi-generations in the city turn into dumbasses.
Yeah, it doesn't. You don't get the best type of worker coming from the city. And you're right, black and white is not the issue on this. So I don't see that as being a prosperous move. I don't see that working at all. But I do think it's important, Alex, that we look at who Trump is filling the swamp
well, listen,
with.
I'm going to come back and give you like 5 minutes to run through it. I got to go soon. Bam, bam, bam. I mean, let's hear your view on Trump. Because, hey, he's about to be the president if we can get him in. And then it's going to be about trying to get him to do the right thing. Because there's a lot of people at him, like David Knight said, a lot of people pressuring him from different angles. We've got to do our own lobbying as well. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I'm Alex Jones, InfoWars.com. They're trying to censor it, trying to shut us down. I'll tell you this. A lot of people in the government and outside the government, trust me, I've been around 25 years, been on air almost 22. I guess since April of this year, I've been around 21 years. This April coming up, man, that's like 3 months away, 4 months away. It'll be 22 years. And they know I'm for real. And, I'm not somebody that just follows a politician. I saw the elite genuinely hate Trump and go after him because they didn't know whether he was just going to take over their operation or really overturn it. And right now I see mixed signals. But just the rhetoric he put out and the global awakening against the New World Order and the corporate system is devastating. It's you judge a tree by its fruits. And rhetorically and what Trump's already done and what we've done has shaken the world. I mean, the elite are in panic mode. So I've got a wait and see attitude. And I see some really good things. I see some bad things. But that said, I see stuff 50 times worse. And I'm not a lesser of two evils guy. But I see Hillary stampeding forward to steal the election. Clearly, they're all over the news. Op-ed saying, kill Trump. Nobody gets in trouble. So something's big. My gut tells me, my spirit, that this it's like I thought I was on the edge of my seat a month and a half ago, and I told you Trump was going to win. Now I'm just like, whoa. And We'll go back to Manning here in a minute, but I just want you to know it's the way they're coming after us, too. And the idiots in mainstream media, like, oh, look, Alex Jones, he admits we're coming after him. Yeah, thousands of articles sometimes a day, lies, twisted garbage. It's how far they've fallen lets me know how much danger we're all in. I'm not a coward. I don't think about this as me. I think about it as, man, this is crazy. Before we go any further, we are listener-supported. We're not big corporate sponsors, and we've got the biggest sales that we've run in a long time because we have free shipping on top of it. 50% off super high-quality colloidal silver, Silver Bullet, $9.95. Living Defense Parasite Cleanse, 30% off. Silver Bullet colloidal silver, as I mentioned, 50%. Brain Force now has 20% more powdered caplets in each bottle, and 33% off on that. Winter Sun, vitamin D3, super organic, under the tongue, so you take it, liquid form. It's 25% off. Survival Shield Nation Iodine X2, 30% off. BioTrue Selenium, 30% off, plus store-wide free shipping. And again, developed by my dad, oral surgeon dentist, working with the biggest producer of toothpaste in the country. They supply the biggest names. It's organic, fluoride-free. It has true atomic nuclear iodine. That doesn't mean radioactive. It means it's in the nuclear form. And nano silver, peppermint, and tea tree oil. Amazing new toothpaste at InfoWarsStore.com. It's the best toothpaste I've ever used. I couldn't get it developed in 2 years. My dad said about a year ago, just let me handle it. He even did the graphics, which are kind of retro, but actually everybody likes it. I guess I'll leave it the same. So I thought it'd take a month to sell out of this. We're going to sell out in the next few days, so thank you for your support. But it costs us like $4 a tube. We're selling for $9.95. I know normal toothpaste, it costs $4 a tube. It's hard to get the nano silver and the iodine. They got to do it big industrial level. So we did order quite a bit of it because I thought this would last months, like I said. So we'll get your reviews of that. Our other products at InfoWarsLife.com get, on average, 4.7 reviews, thousands of them on the third-party site, so check it out for yourself. This is a game changer. Nobody's got it with colloidal silver or iodine, much less together. When you add tea tree oil and other stuff, it's a game changer. So thank you for your prayers, your support, and more. Going back to Pastor Manning. Pastor Manning, I'm going to just try to shut up and give you the floor here for about 7, 8, 9 minutes. I actually haven't had any lunch yet. I'm going to sit here and have some tortilla soup while you speak, my friend, so go ahead.
Thank you, Alex, and thanks so very much for allowing me this platform. There are a couple of things about the cabinet picks that Trump has made, and I'm referring to him as Tribulation Trump, a biblical phrase. One is Dr. Ben Carson, who during the length and breadth of the campaign really won the hearts of many Christians by promoting a ghetto story that either he tried to stab his friend with a knife and the knife accidentally or miraculously broke, and the other is that he was going to hit his mother in the head with a hammer. Now, I've been around the hood for a while. I grew up in the hood. We do a lot of things. We say a lot of things about our parents, but nobody ever thinks about hitting their mother in the head with a hammer unless you are psychologically, pathologically deranged. And no one would admit it, even if you thought about it. And of course, this is what he said to get himself before the limelight of the people. For Tribulation Trump to now appoint him as the head of the Housing Urban Development Corporation, agency of our nation, which he has never lived in public housing, it bothers me. It looks like a token appointment, which has been done 1,000 times by every other president that has ever sat in the Oval Office. They always have token appointments. However, my problem is with this one is that when his, I guess, business manager, Armstrong Williams of Ben Carson, said that he was not eligible to or did not have the skills to run a federal agency when he was offered something in the medical field because he was alleged to be a brilliant surgeon. He turned that down, and he takes up housing and urban development. It makes me think that something is going on that is not.
But what do you mean alleged? I mean, he developed a lot of surgeries. He was known before he ever ran for office as a top innovator. Yeah, I know. However, I say alleged because I want to go back to the fact he doesn't act very bright in other ways. He may be a tremendous surgeon. I'm saying he can join twins. Nobody else has ever done it. But when anything else, he seems to be deficit of any other kind of integrity or personality. My other concern is Steve Mnuchin, who worked for Goldman Sachs, who was a Wall Street boy, who is a uber billionaire, who doesn't know the touch of a common man, who has been
in money all of his life and will continue to be in money all of his life. Right now, his name, Steve Mnuchin, will be written on every piece of money that America has that's made out of paper. He'll be in charge of the entire Treasury. I'm just sick and tired of Wall Street always calling the shots regarding our financial situation. And Tribulation Trump said he was going to drain the swamp, get rid of Goldman Sachs. Hillary Clinton took $250,000 on several occasions for 20-minute speeches from Goldman Sachs that said nothing. A third grader could have written a better speech than what Hillary gave, but they wanted to buy influence with her. And damn it, they got Steve Mnuchin is now running the Treasury. Every penny, every dollar that goes through the American system, the IRS, and everything else is now governed by a Goldman Sachs employee. I cannot be comfortable with that. I cannot believe that Tribulation Trump did not know that was absolutely a backslap on his promise and also a backslap in the face of the people.
You're pausing, so I'll jump in. I'm taking a wait and see on this, and I'll tell you why. I've had probably, I can't even count them all up. I can think of 5 or 6 managing directors from Goldman Sachs that head up whole divisions that are actually anti-New World Order, Nomi Prinz, many others that are fighting it. Anybody who's anybody, because Goldman Sachs basically runs the world, has been in Goldman Sachs. I mean, if you look at the people they're appointing to be presidents in places like Italy, they are former Goldman Sachs directors. So when you look at this, I get what you're saying, but it's almost like that's what runs it all. And if you go into Mnuchin that you're mentioning, he's the guy that was anti-NAFTA and GATT. He has a different strategy about making it an American world. So I would say he's not a globalist, he's an American imperialist, which I'm not endorsing an American empire, but Mnuchin is an American imperialist, which I will take. I'm not endorsing imperialism, but our ideas, America being great. Globalists want to sell us out. They want us poor. That's in their admissions of Cloward and Piven. It's in their admissions of their plan. He wants to stick it to China, who's been screwing us over. Not the Chinese people, but the elites there. Just, I mean, here's the deal. I know people that know Rex Tillerson before he was anybody. Back when he was in, mid-level engineer. I got a lot of family in Texas that have been engineers, you name it. He came from nowhere. Okay, because he was such a good salesman, and he started in the 1970s as a low-level, in the field oil well engineer to the head of it because he's such a good salesman. He took Standard Oil away from the Rockefellers. They tried to take it back from him in 2006 when he was funding all the anti-global warming stuff, which we wouldn't even have defeated them if it wasn't for him. He exposed it was really a Ken Lay and Enron and a scam. Then they almost removed him, so he had to then play politics and say, okay, I'm for it. But notice it didn't happen. The new guy he's got over EPA, former Attorney General, Oklahoma, totally against it, exposes it as a fraud. So we're going to see what happens. But I'll tell you, Trump's being very Machiavelli against them. At least that's what I'm reading. If he gets in and doesn't do that, then we know we've got a problem. But those two individuals come from those powerful systems, but have not gone along with it like the others.
Here's my final concern, and I'll give you back your microphone. That is that Trump made a promise to me. I took a photo with him. I shook his hand, and Alex, there were a group of pastors in that room that for more than an hour and 15 minutes talked about nothing but getting Trump to apologize to the Black Lives Matter group because somebody tried to disrupt one of his campaigns early on, and Trump said, get him out of here, and get him out of here now. For an hour and 15 minutes, the bulk of those pastors in there argued that Trump should apologize. I took the floor and defended Trump against all of those pastors saying, Trump, don't apologize. I told Michael Cohen, don't let him later apologize, backtrack. And I told Trump, don't ever apologize to Black Lives Matter. It's a business. It's a civil rights is a charitable, a business, a cottage industry where people make money off of the misery of other people. But my point now is this, is that what he did when he promised that he would never forget us, he would support us in our biblical causes, that and our Christian beliefs and Christianity is shrinking like you won't believe globally, but here in America. When he backed up on that, I look and I see all the people that I know that need jobs. I have listeners all over America that are living on fixed incomes. It's tough when you're only getting a small check, and that's dwindling and prices are going up. I see him doing the same thing to the workers that zealously voted for him, that he did for the preachers that zealously promoted him to help us keep the Bible alive and keep the word of God.
I think his argument is he's going to get the feds off Christians. I think his argument is he's going to get the feds off Christians' backs and then let Christians, do what they want and not be harassed.
Yeah, but this same-sex marriage thing is, and then Obama has the one thing he's done is not Obamacare. The one thing he's done more than anything else is that he has pushed this same-sex marriage.
I'll say this. Children are being indoctrinated at age 5 in public schools, and it's basically pedophilia.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And Alice, this is just flat out wrong for any humane society to promote, and for the government to come in and enforce this down, because they've got the power, they've got Hollywood, they've got...
Well, I think it's important for evangelicals like Jerry Falwell Jr. and others, now that Trump's won, or at least once he gets in, to hold his feet to the fire and to say, hey, you said this, you said that, let's see it. And believe me, when I've talked to Trump, all I've done is told him, look, you got to prosecute Hillary. She's going to come after you. And we really need you to, help with the family and this attack on it. And Trump says, no, I'm going to do that. And,
by the way, not to suck up or anything, but, the Pizzagate thing, several people sent me the Pizzagate issue. I have some listeners that listen to you more faithfully than listen to me. I'm jealous because every time I turn around, they listen to you. So they understood, but they'll tell you, and I did, and I knew that you had been a part of getting that message out. I never once criticized you. And Alex, I'll tell you, I do criticize a lot of people, but I've never once criticized you because I found you to be genuine. If you believe something, you believe it. If you have to be, removed from those beliefs, you do that as well. And I think that's made you a tremendous success. I told our staff before I came on the air here, I said, Alex Jones wouldn't have me on. Alex is media. They're not going to have me on 60 Minutes. But Alice is just as much media as CNN or anybody else.
Sure. I want to hear legitimate criticism of Trump that's real, not that he wants to kill the gays, and it's the opposite. That's all made up stuff. What you're saying is legitimate. I know some people say the vitriol's been a little bit hotter on your own show. Look, it's very entertaining. Can you get into the fire coming out of it? And also you talk about how Michelle Obama looks. Just to humor me, I love it. Can you just talk about that?
Well, I'm not sure. I did so many things on. I call Michelle the fist bumper Obama, and I said at one point in time she looked like an orangutan. I'm not sure exactly which one of those things. I've said so much about Michelle.
I think she looks like a man.
Well, Michael is who she is. No, she actually has the physique of a man.
What do you make of Joan Rivers saying, of course she's a man, a tranny, and then she was dead? Then the media says I'm lying and that I made that up. All I did was quote what they said. They call it fake news that I say Joan Rivers said that. I can play the clip.
No. Listen, Joan Rivers died about 20 blocks from where I now sit here in New York City at a little lab over there off of Fifth Avenue. She said that Michelle was a tranny, and a week later she was killed. And she was killed because of what she said, because she's a powerful woman. She is a woman. She has a powerful audience, a powerful voice, and as a result of it, she lost her life. And so, Alex, the other reason why I push back so much against people pushing back against me, because if I go to a dentist or a doctor, or if I walk the streets of Harlem, my life is always on the line. And for Trump to have given up the birth certificate thing so easily and threw all of us under the bus that would birth us, that put me at
Pastor Manning, it's because we discovered that they duped us. Michelle did say in speeches in 2006 that he was born in Kenya. He did say in the Harvard Review he was born in Kenya on purpose to divert from his dad in Hawaii, who was Frank Marshall Davis.
I had a visit from the CIA back in 2000, I think at 9 it was, who gave me information that was irrefutable, that Obama was not a natural born, that he did not attend Columbia University. I stuck my head out and conducted a trial that lasted an entire week. People came from all over the nation to be a part of that trial because of what that CIA agent told me, that Obama was not born. So, I mean, there could be evidence.
They're also professional liars.
Yeah, it could be coming from all different kinds
Pastor
of places.
Manning, let me just say this. Look. Trump's not perfect. All I'm saying, he's not Hillary. He's got the globalist upset and angry. Don't be mad at Trump because some of his more zealot supporters have chewed into you. But I think I think these are serious issues we should look at. And that's why if somebody's got legitimate things about Trump, like David Knight's got some, I say absolutely, let's look at them. All I'm saying is let's not make it everything we do, because we're barely beating Hillary that wants 5 Supreme Court justices and our guns and wants to shut down the free press. We know she's bad. We know what she's going to do, 20-plus year history. She's coming after me right now. So, I mean, it's kind of a survival thing.
One thing that we need to pay very careful attention to, Hillary, when she did make finally her concession speech, she said something that startled me, and that was, we're going to have a woman president a whole lot sooner than you think. And she did that Hillary blinking of her eyes and shaking her head. So there may be a massive plan.
Oh, yeah, look at Michael Moore. Trump. Look at Michael Moore saying he's not good. Folks, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Thank you, Pastor. We'll be back. Stay with us. Thank you, sir. Roger Stone's coming up. I tell you, he looks sharp. You don't even know we see him right now. Let's punch him up for TV viewers. There he is in another one of his myriad studios, getting ready, getting set up to host the next hour. And he has got a lot to break down, a lot to cover, and some big guests coming up as well. He's got John E. Hunt, son of E. Howard Hunt, who was the head of the plumbers and, of course, ran the assassination operation in Dallas. So that is going to be a big interview. He's got tied into the CIA, the disinfo, the fact that the other intelligence agencies have come out and said, no, we didn't sign on to this. No, there's no real evidence. There's no intent. It's a very thin read, to quote the head of all the intelligence agencies that reports to El Presidente. So that's all coming up. I didn't get to this like I said I would. I kind of want to get a chalkboard and explain how the real media works. I mean, there are even congressional hearings where they admit it, how the big foundations work, how the state-run media works. But we're going to get to more of this tomorrow, obviously. I don't want to sit here and make the news about us, but they're saying we are the #1 enemy. And I want to explain how this works. I know most of you understand this. If they can shut us down, they can shut everything down. Quite frankly, I don't do this for fame or fortune or any of that. I do this because I don't want to lose to the tyrants. And our spirit of resistance is spread all over the country and all over the world. Frankly, if they kill me or put me in prison or try to shut us down, I've already laid out basically how they operate, what they do. The information they hate so much has been blueprinted already. So save these shows, save these radio shows, and just continue to, get your own information out, your own research, and stay focused. The #1 thing I've done, too, is not gotten involved in infighting. They're really good at getting infighting stirred up in the liberty movement, divide and conquer stuff. I've just stayed focused on the New World Order, focused on the fact they're unelected, focused on the fact they're setting up a world government, and they're now coming after a free press. They've announced it. And of course, they have disinformation bots on my own site, commenting and all over going, where is it? You're still on air. Why'd you do that petition? Which we're printing. It's done today. It costs us thousands of dollars to print. It'll be $500 to ship it to Trump Tower and to Congress. Giant pallet of your 100,000 signatures. Now we're going to reach out to people that signed it and create a First Amendment organization, a First Amendment defense organization, and it will grow organically like we've done. They're like, oh, you had a countdown. You're still on air. It was a countdown for how long the petition was out. Oh, where's the censorship? It's all over the news. It's happening to Breitbart. It's happening to us. The UN's taking over the internet. They're calling for shutting us down entirely. They just stall everybody going, there's no global government. There's no IRS persecution in Obamacare. They didn't hire 18,000 agents. Yes, they did. Nobody's coming after your guns. Remember Bloomberg 2 years ago said, I'm the biggest supporter of the Second Amendment out there. He's the biggest anti-Second Amendmenter. They're moving with their deception against us, and now is the time to spread the word. Now is the time to take action. Now is the time to understand the type of attack we're under. Now, if we can get Roger Stone hooked up the next minute or two when we come back in the first 5, I won't do it. I'll go to him because I want to bring up to him the calls for censorship, the calls for overturning the election, Nancy Pelosi's daughter running it. They say they've got 20, now 30, and need reportedly, 38 or something to overturn the election. A lot of folks think they don't have the juice to do it. Folks, these people are bold criminals. Separately, we got free shipping running until, well, probably through this weekend, but we can't guarantee shipment to you before Christmas if you don't order by Friday. We've got the new Super Blue that has iodine. That's what turns the toothpaste blue. It's true iodine. That's blue-purple, not red, folks. And it has colloidal silver and a bunch of other stuff in it. It's going to sell out soon. It's so popular. I can't believe it. My dad created another super hit, InfoWarsLive.com. or 888-253-3139. We'll be back. Hour number 4. Spread the word. They're censoring us. I cannot hype this enough. It's happening. All right, I'm punching out of here in about 4 or 5 minutes, and then our good friend Roger Stone's taking over, former head of the Trump campaign. I got to tell you, he's got the sharpest looking suit I've ever seen on. I am really, looks better than anybody on Fox News. Wish I had that type of style. But Roger Stone's here with us with big breaking news, big guest in this hour. But Roger, I got to tell you, my friend, they are openly now calling for censoring myself. They're not just saying discredit the alt-right. They're saying shut us down. They are saying shut Trump down, kick him off Twitter, as you know. They are going into full hysteria mode, and they're all over the news now saying, we're at war with Russia. We're under attack. They're creating a total hysteria. No one's buying it, though. They're trying to get the moral cover to claim that 30-something electors aren't going to go for Trump and I guess try to steal the election. Now, I know that's bold. I know that's crazy. But, it's the bold stroke sometimes hits. Sometimes it misses. But, again, my spider sense tells me they're going for broke like bloodthirsty cornered rats. What do you say?
Alex, this is a full-fledged coup d'etat, although a bloodless one. This is a coordinated campaign with several steps. First, they harped on the popular vote as if the popular vote decides who's elected president, when the Clinton campaign operatives themselves admit that they were focused largely on the Electoral College, as was the Trump campaign. Then, secondarily, there is this entire effort to discredit the election and delegitimize the coming Trump presidency by the unsubstantiated claim that there is Russian hacking. So there is a concerted effort here, led by the New York Times and the Washington Post, the two publications who are most out front in their Trump bashing and their distortion of Trump's positions. It is not, this is all planned. Now, of the electors, Alex, the 30 that have stepped forward, all but one of them are partisan Democrats. They weren't going to be voting for Donald Trump anyway. So this is the last desperate grasp at power by the ruling elite. So
they're just creating the illusion that they've got 30. They really don't.
Just as they're creating the illusion that they have some proof that Russia has hacked our elections.
Boy, didn't that crumble quickly? The other agencies said, we never said that. We don't agree with you. This is bull.
Well, in fact, James Clapper, who heads the Defense Intelligence Agency, who's supposed to be coordinating the other 17 agencies, tells Reuters he doesn't buy it, that it's inconclusive, that they haven't produced any evidence. I rechecked again today. No Republican member of the House or Senate Intelligence Committee has seen any evidence, hard evidence, of Russian hacking. Not only that, but because of our electoral system, where we use a hodgepodge of machines, computerized voting machines, on which I have written extensively, paper ballots, and the old-time, jolt machines, it is virtually impossible for a sophisticated hack, and there is no evidence of it, none whatsoever. Today's front page story in the New York Times is riddled with falsehoods, including, again, repeating the false notion that Julian Assange and WikiLeaks were in the employ of the Russians.
Okay, so recycled lies. We're going to break. You're going to take over. I just want to add a cherry on top. The communist Chinese and Saudi Arabians, because they bragged about it in the newspapers, said they were the biggest financiers, basically illegally, of Hillary. So there's the foreign influence, plus the illegals, plus the Clinton Foundation, plus the EU involved. So we should take more of her votes away if they're claiming that Trump should lose, because that's the clear, documented, outside foreign entanglement and foreign interference in our election. That's what globalism is, in essence. I'm Alex Jones, signing off for InfoWars.com and handing the baton to Roger Stone of StoneColdTruth.com. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Welcome back to InfoWars. I'm Roger Stone, sitting in for the great Alex Jones. And today we're going to focus on the actual coup d'etat that's going on before our very eyes. For those on the left and in the power establishment in Washington and New York and around the globe who do not want to accept the legitimate results of the 2016 elections. During this most recent campaign, I was among those accused of being a Russian agent. That's because I supported Donald Trump, and I did not support war in Syria, war with Russia in Syria and over the Syrian conflict. This is the new McCarthyism, where you are accused of being a traitor to your country if you're not for thermonuclear war, if you're not for the no-fly zone over Syria, which is surely the first step towards a confrontation with the Russians. There's several problems with this entire narrative. First of all, there is no proof whatsoever of this hacking. Is it just coincidental that the Obama administration intelligence agencies are now endlessly repeating a Clinton campaign talking point, that the Russians were aiding Trump, that the Russians were hacking the election? I find this particularly humorous in view of the fact that when I wrote about my concerns that the Democrats would hack the elections in the urban centers in the country, where I believe there is actually a track record of having done so, I was ridiculed by David Brock and the running dog lackeys of the Clinton spin machine. I was called a conspiracy theorist because I even believe that the election could be hacked by domestic entities who are in control of the actual machines. Of course, the Russians are not in control of any computerized voting machines. Then, of course, we have, in addition to the lack of proof, the repeated denials of Julian Assange that he works for the Russians, that he has received materials from the Russians, and, in fact, that the leaker of the Democratic National Committee documents that prove that the DNC, under Debbie Wasserman Schultz, had to cheat, wire the debates, and wire the system so that Hillary Clinton could beat Bernie Sanders. We know that that source was human intelligence, a leaker, most likely the late Seth Rice, who, as you know, I think took 4 slugs to the back. Now, the mainstream media told us it was a botched robbery. But Seth's father told us that his watch and his currency and his jewelry was untouched. If you raise the question of whether he was murdered because he was leaking to Assange, well, then they call you a conspiracy theorist. We also have the startling revelation now by John McCain, who first jumped on the bandwagon demanding a full investigation, but now even McCain, no fan of Donald J. Trump, tells us that there is no proof, that he has seen no proof that the Russians were successful in hacking our elections. We've got a great show for you today. I'm joined by the Breitbart News Washington Bureau Chief, Matt Boyle, who will talk to us about fake news and the effort to censor InfoWars, Breitbart News, The Daily Caller, StoneColdTruth.com, and anybody who doesn't toe the mainstream media line. We also are going to be joined by St. John Hunt. St. John Hunt is a Renaissance man. He is an author, a songwriter, a guitarist, a singer, a poet, and we are honored to have him because he is, of course, the son of the legendary CIA agent and Watergate burglar E. Howard Hunt. Almost no one knows more about the CIA and their misdeeds and their history of lies right through Benghazi, right through the current day, where today they're lying about Russian interference in order to present an issue aimed solely at the Electoral College, which submits its votes on Monday. Do not think that there is no Republican effort to track electors. There is. And based on my sources, the Republican electors are standing tall and firm for Donald Trump. So far, we know of one Republican defector. That will be not sufficient to overturn the will of the American people. I'm told that Matt Boyle is on the line. We can go to him now, although I thought we were heading to a break. If we're ready, Matt Boyle, thanks for joining us here at INFOWARS.com.
Thanks, Roger, for having me.
Matt, because Breitbart News is one of those publications that is targeted for censorship and has appeared on various lists compiled by the left, and because of an appropriation for the thought police that seems to be working its way through the Congress, in which the U.S. federal government would seem to have the authority to decide what is fake news and what is not, give me your take on this effort and whether you think they can be successful in silencing the voices of freedom.
I don't think they're going to silence us. What they're trying to do, I mean, through the law, I don't think they'll succeed on that element. What they're trying to do is they're trying to drag our names through the mud so that we can't continue to grow and win over new supporters. But here's what's happening. What their efforts to attack us at Breitbart and other places, all the places you mentioned, are backfiring. What's happening is that people who are open-minded and aren't, completely sold by the political left and the political establishment, get drawn to Breitbart. What they're doing is by continually attacking us, they're drawing more and more people to our site. And what's happening is that then they're like, oh, well, these guys aren't all that unreasonable. They're actually reasonable. Their stories are better in many ways, and they do a better job of covering the news than, say, CNN or the New York Times, or sometimes even some other places throughout the establishment right media, right, like a Fox or a Weekly Standard or a National Review. And so what happens is as these people start coming to our site, and the reason what they're doing is they're calling us racist, they're calling us fake news, they're calling us white nationalists. We're nothing of the sort. We were one of the few outlets that correctly reported not just on this election, the whole trajectory of the election of the presidential race in the U.S., but the Brexit race over in the U.K. We have a whole London bureau that's doing all the reporting on that. We have world-class coverage of Congress, of the federal agencies, of major scandals in Washington, and because we had all of that right, I would submit that we are the real news and they are the fake news. CNN, which repeatedly over and over again said that Donald Trump wouldn't win the election. New York Times, which had it, 80% Donald Trump was going to lose, even on election night when the polls closed. The Huffington Post had it as 99%, I think it was, that Hillary Clinton was going to win the election. Those people all got it wrong. They're the fake news. So, I think that, while there does appear to be efforts by those in the political establishment to try to silence us using the power of the government or something. I don't think that those are going to be successful. I think the American people are too smart to fall for some kind of a thing that would limit the First Amendment. So I don't think we're going to see anything like that. What you are seeing is that you're going to see them try to discredit us and try to drag our names through the mud so that people don't trust us. But that what they've been doing for years, it always backfires because we're always right and they're always wrong.
Yeah, it is absolutely true what you say. I noticed that in this most recent election, when President Barack Obama attacked INFOWARS by name, when Hillary Clinton attacked Alex Jones by name, actually produced a campaign TV commercial attacking Alex Jones, all they did was increase the listenership and viewership of INFOWARS. They are helping to build our audience, and I agree, when people go to these alternative sites, whether it's Breitbart or INFOWARS or the Daily Caller or Town Hall or a number of other excellent sites, they're cutting through the BS and they're realizing that this is the real news. Now, I watched CNN this morning, and nowhere did I see them report that no one has yet seen any proof whatsoever of this so-called Russian hacking. Ergo, they are the fake news. We do have a fake news problem in this country, but it's mostly seated at the 3 national broadcast networks and at the 2 cable networks. That's where I think you can find the fake news. Matt, what is the attitude of your colleagues at Breitbart over this onslaught? And do you think those in the upcoming Trump administration, beyond Steve Bannon, of course, are aware? We're going to go to a break. We'll come back to Matt Boyle and get his answer here in just a moment. Thanks for tuning in at InfoWars. I'm Roger Stone, sitting in for Alex Jones. Welcome back. I'm Roger Stone here at InfoWars, sitting in for Alex Jones. You know, the revolution isn't free. So now I'm happy to announce that the InfoWars Store 2016 Christmas Super Sale is on. Now, there are some terrific products here, but my favorite, the one I use regularly, has been BrainForce. And now you have an all-new, improved BrainForce product. Now, this, to me, gives you mental clarity, gives me energy, really puts me through those long nights. I'm working on a book on deadline, The Making of the President 2016. I was up till 4 a.m. last night writing to try to make my deadline. Candidly, I would never have made it without BrainForce. I really strongly recommend this product. 33% off. You can help finance the revolution and those who stand up for truth and accuracy in media. And at the same time, you can buy these excellent products. So I strongly recommend fill your Christmas stockings now off the InfoWars.com store by getting some BrainForce, Silver Colloidal, and other terrific products we're going to be talking about later on in the show. Now I want to go back to Matt Boyle at Breitbart News, the Washington Bureau Chief. Matt, tell me what your colleagues think of this assault on free speech and whether you think that the key people in the Trump administration are aware of the fight that's about to come.
Yeah, I think that the Trump administration is ready for it. I mean, you mentioned Steve Bannon. I mean, he was obviously our executive chairman until he went to go be the CEO of the Trump campaign in August. I think he's keenly aware of it, and many of the other aides I've talked to throughout the incoming Trump administration, and I'm meeting with them constantly. They're very aware of what is going on this front. My colleagues here at Breitbart are fired up. I've gotten away from using the term, Roger, the mainstream media to describe the establishment legacy media. I don't think they're mainstream anymore. I think we've crossed a Rubicon over the course of the 2016 election where Breitbart, Daily Caller, InfoWars, et cetera, are the new mainstream media. We represent mainstream American thought. And we are the majority. And we are, our views are correct, and they are mainstream, whereas CNN, Politico, New York Times, these are fringe organizations on the periphery of American society. So, you know, our team is fired up. Look, I'm actually in communication with a number of top journalists. And by the way, I know that, you know, I disparage a lot of these legacy establishment media outlets, but some of the people that work there are decent people. They want to go out there and do stories, and it's the executives at the top of these companies that are giving down orders that don't allow them to do so. So many of them are, and I think you're going to see a sea change walking into this, you know, into 2017 here, where you're going to see a lot of people throughout these establishment media operations are going to leave en masse. And I kind of look at Breitbart almost like it's Noah's Ark, right, for the people that want to do journalism. Again, there are people all throughout the entire media apparatus right now that are basically dying to come work here. And so, I'm spending an inordinate amount of time right now going through resumes, talking to a lot of people, some of whom are household names. And so, I'm not going to give them out right now until a lot of them are official and final. But the thing is that the entire establishment media apparatus, because these executives lean so far the wrong way over the course of this election, they're losing their clout, they're losing their power, they're losing their ability to control the narrative.
Well, Matt, I agree with you. I think we reached a tipping point where the monopoly of the old media, let's call them that, has finally been broken. And a majority of Americans are getting their news, particularly their political news, on their handheld device. And that means the end for broadcast TV as we know it. It means the end, ultimately, for cable as well, where people are going to go get their news, particularly at a time of their own choosing. This has opened the door to the Trump revolution. And it was particularly important because the Trump campaign had far fewer resources to spend on paid media. The idea that you could come on and buy wall-to-wall saturation broadcast television advertising to dominate an election is now outdated thinking. In fact, digital advertising in this most recent campaign has proved to be far more effective. With about a minute to go, Matt, give me your quick assessment on Donald Trump's cabinet picks so far.
I think he's got an interesting collection of individuals. I really like the generals, the business executives that he's bringing in. These are people that have a proven track record of getting things done. And so I think he's keeping his promise. He's kind of showing to the American people that he's going to bring in people that aren't part of the political class in Washington, D.C., and he's going to shake up the way things work in American politics and on the world stage.
All right, Matt Boyle, thanks for joining us here at InfoWars. Welcome back. I'm Roger Stone, sitting in for Alex Jones. And joining me in a moment is St. John Hunt, one of the country's experts on the Central Intelligence Agency and their legacy of lies. But before we go there, I want to mention that you can get one of my favorite products, DNA Force, for 25% off at the InfoWars.com store. Now, with the toxins that we are picking up from the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, this is a true booster for the immunity and the overall wellness. Now, this product can be gotten now for 25% off. And I know personally, because sometimes I have been disappointed when I went to order it and it was out. This stuff flies off the shelves because there are so many satisfied customers and so many people who want this substance, particularly in these winter months. So please go on the InfoWars.com store. You can buy this terrific product, DNA Force, which is a special blend of digestive enzymes and powerful herbs and other high-quality ingredients that really, truly boost the immunity system. I can't be without this or a formula like it, and this is the very best. So, aid the revolution. Help us pay for the InfoWars.com broadcasts, which bring you the political truth and have been the tip of the spear for the election of Donald Trump and the toppling of the globalist order. You can do two things at once here, folks. You can support us, and you can buy these terrific products. Now let me go to St. John Hunt, who is the co-author of a terrific book called Jeb and the Bush Crime Family, co-written by yours truly. But the reason I asked St. John on today is because he has a terrific piece up now at stonecoldtruth.com that tells you why the Central Intelligence Agency's claims about Russian hacking of the elections simply cannot be trusted. St. John Hunt, welcome to InfoWars, where I'm proud to be sitting in for my friend Alex Jones.
Thank you, Roger. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate it.
So outline for us your thinking. You're, I know, a man who follows the political news, and you've seen this slow motion coup d'etat that the Democrats are attempting to pull off. Why shouldn't we believe our intelligence agencies?
Well, let me say, first of all, that it's shameful what's going on in this country today, and the way the news media is spinning Mr. Trump to be some sort of irresponsible person that doesn't care about the briefings. He clearly stated that his vice president would be in charge of the daily briefings. I understand full well that the CIA, since its inception after World War II, has been bent on a one-way street to to subvert the foreign freedom of other countries for personal gain for this country. And I've seen it because my father was in the CIA for 27 years. And I can attest to the fact that the CIA is riddled with low-level intelligence people that are just, continuing the CIA philosophy of let's get in there and take what we can on a worldwide basis. Starting as early as 1953 in Iran, they overthrew the democratically elected Premier Mohammad Mossadegh, and that was to help the British regain their control of oil. So that's a greed factor right there. Then in 1954, my father was personally involved in the overthrow of Jacob Arbenz in Guatemala, which was also, I think, dictated by greed and personal gain for the Dulles brothers, who were on the board of United Fruit Company. And this was an issue that cost thousands and thousands of lives. Followed by the Bay of Pigs, which was a complete fiasco, as everybody knows, and brought the world to really the brink of World War III. This has gone on for decades and decades. And the fact that Donald Trump does not want to have a daily briefings is a good idea, I think. He's bringing his sense of business to an otherwise failed political situation where he's wary of the CIA, and he rightfully should be. The CIA has gone on, continued. 1965 to 72, they ran a campaign in Vietnam called the Phoenix Program, which murdered up to 60,000 civilians based on their political beliefs. At 79, they misjudged the entire Iranian situation. 6 months before the Iranian Revolution, they advised in their national intelligence estimate, which is the briefing that Mr. Trump would be seeing, that Iran was not in a revolutionary or pre-revolutionary state. In 1990, the CIA dismissed the likelihood of the Iraq invasion in Kuwait. In 2002, the NIE, the National Intelligence Estimate, stated that Iraq has continued buildup of WMDs, which we know is just a complete falsehood. So there's an element here of the news reporting that Trump doesn't want the daily briefings, but what really they should be reporting is on the CIA's complete history of failed intelligence gathering services and reporting. That's what I think.
Well, it's interesting that Trump, in his formal statement, actually fired back and said, when the CIA asserted that the election had been hacked by the Russians, he pointed out these were the exact same people that told us Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. What good is a briefing if the information contained in the briefing is wrong? Or if it is put there with motive, if it's disinformation that's purposely being fed to the chief executive? I think the president is wise to have his vice president wade through the information and determine what's real and what is not real. This is an attempt to belittle Trump. It's an attempt to delegitimize him. But I have some concerns about our incoming CIA director, Congressman Pompeo. I am hopeful that he will be loyal to the Trump agenda. It bothered me when he said that he believed Edward Snowden should be executed. First of all, I think Mr. Snowden should have a trial before anything such as that was undertaken. But the hysteria that has gripped the ruling elite, and in this case, their instrument being the Central Intelligence Agency, they are running a campaign aimed at the Electoral College. It is extraordinary in its nakedness. The idea of Barack Obama instructing the Central Intelligence Agency to brief these electors, most of whom are party regulars in both camps, has forced the Trump campaign to, or the Trump camp, I should say, to have an operation to track the electors. Now, this was done before in 2000, when a shift of one elector would have made a difference. Of course, that didn't happen. George W. Bush was successfully elected president. In this case, I think they need a shift of 40 votes to change the outcome of this election. I still call it unlikely. But to be clear, the globalists will stop at nothing. They will never give up. They will never come to terms with a Trump administration. They will do anything they can to delegitimize the incoming administration. And if they could wave a wand and put Hillary Clinton into power tomorrow, they would definitely do so.
Yeah, I agree thoroughly, Roger. I think that that those globalists are set in continuing the story that the Russians are bitter enemies. I don't think that's true anymore. I think Mr. Trump is a businessman. I think Mr. Putin is, in his own sense, a businessman. I think he wants to do business. I think they want to do business. And as long as the agenda is being pushed by the media and by the leftists there, that Russia is our sworn enemies, it's going to be hard to change things. But we got to keep trying, and that's why InfoWars is so important. And
an incredible piece that I read this morning showed that a Labour MP in the UK is now trying to claim that the Russians hacked the Brexit vote. This is how absurd this entire thing is becoming. Globalism is being rejected around the world. And the Rockefellers and the other stalwarts within the globalist establishment are in utter disbelief that their trail of lies and their economic destruction and their history of wars are now catching up with them. And just as the people of Europe are becoming wise to the globalist agenda, so are the American people. Now, finally, you have a president who's standing up for American jobs, who's going to stop the flow of both jobs and capital abroad. This is not in the globalist playbook, which is why I think you have this kind of hysteria. I'm kind of interested, St. John, in your view on the recent fall of Castro, given your father's expertise in Cuban affairs and the fact that your dad was involved in numerous attempts to assassinate Castro, and then he was involved in the disastrous Bay of Pigs invasion. Do you think the fall of Castro, at least I should say the death of Fidel Castro, is going to lead to democratic reforms in our lifetime?
Well, that's a tough question to answer, but no, I don't think change is going to come about that rapidly. There is change noticed there already, slowly, and it depends what his what his brother is going to put forth. But Castro has been immortalized in a very romantic sense worldwide. So it's hard to beat that. When the media paints him as a romantic, freedom-loving, for the people type of persona, when in reality he may have been that at the very early stages of the Cuban Revolution back in 1958 and 59. He very quickly turned into a murderous dictator that imprisoned and killed thousands and thousands and thousands of Cubans that were not aligned to him. And this is something that's not really talked about. It's a lot easier to wear Castro and Che Guevara T-shirts without without the knowledge of what they really stood for.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. He's a mass murderer up there with Hitler and with Stalin. I mean, in 1953, I believe it was, Vice President Richard Nixon was assigned by Dwight Eisenhower to meet with Castro for an assessment. Eisenhower, as the U.S. head of state, of course, couldn't meet with Castro because it would have connoted recognition. So Nixon was assigned to meet with the bearded dictator. We didn't know he was a dictator yet. And it's interesting, although in that meeting, Castro professed democratic leanings, small d, Nixon would go on to write a memo to Eisenhower telling him that, in his view, Castro was a hardline communist aligned with the Soviets who would abridge all human rights and freedoms in Cuba, which, of course, is exactly what came to pass. Almost 50 years later, Castro met with President Nixon's son-in-law, Ed Cox, a longtime personal friend of mine. And after some exchange of pleasantries, Castro said to Ed Cox, "So tell me, how did your father-in-law know I was a communist?" There it is for you, folks. Yeah. The idea of Castro as some kind of modern-day Robin Hood is a false narrative of the mainstream media. The idea that you can open Cuba up by doing business there with the idea that the benefits will trickle down to the people misunderstands the Cuban system. Under the Cuban system, foreign businesses, whether they be from Spain, whether they be from the United States, must partner not with a Cuban businessman or woman, not with a Cuban entrepreneur, but you must partner with the government. The government is your partner. You pay them dollars. They pay the people worthless pesos. And it provides the money to reinvigorate and fund the secret police. People still disappear in the middle of the night in Cuba. One cannot have a gathering in their home, say a birthday party or a card game, without a representative from the party present to be sure that it isn't a meeting for the purposes of plotting the violent overthrow of the government. So many Americans have this romantic notion of Cuba as a beautiful place and a socialist utopia where healthcare, for example, is free. What they don't know is about that the Cuban people have no freedom of religion, no freedom of assembly, no freedom of the speech, no freedom of any kind under the heavy jackboot of the Castros. And my wife insists that that Raul Castro is more vicious and more hardline than his brother. It is therefore we can only hope. The embargo was successful, even more successful after the enormous Soviet subsidies for the Cuban system were cut off. So, St. John, are you? What's your view now of the Trump administration? I know you were early a skeptic. We had numerous conversations. You're not necessarily a Republican. I know you kind of view yourself as an independent. How do you think he's doing? With about a minute and a half left, give us your assessment.
Well, you're right. At the throughout most of the election, I wasn't sold on Trump, but I was fully against Hillary because I know she's a criminal of the largest sort, and she should be prosecuted at the extent of the law, every bit of the law. But Trump, I believe, has really come about. I went to a Trump rally here in Fort Lauderdale and was impressed. But beyond that, I think Trump is going to do a good job if he will be allowed to do a good job. But this constant haranguing, this constant, malfeasance of, the words, the anti-Trump slinging is just, it's embarrassing to me as an American citizen to have this kind of negativity thrown at someone who hasn't even started their job yet. I mean, let the guy alone. Let him do his job, and then let's wait a year, 6 months, and see how he's doing. Then we can start slinging stuff if we don't like what he's doing or if he's gone off the tracks. But now, let him do his job. Let him pick his cabinet. Let him do what he's supposed to do. And give him a break. He won fair and square. That's all there is to it.
I think that's an excellent assessment. So, St. John Hunt joining us here on INFOWARS.com. Many thanks for outlining the CIA's legacy of lies, including their most recent lie that the Russians have hacked this election. I'm Roger Stone, sitting in for Alex Jones. Welcome back to InfoWars. I'm Roger Stone, filling the very large shoes of Alex Jones today. I do want to point out that we have stolen Glenn Beck's microphone and we're not giving it back. Before we get any further down the road here, I want to point out that the InfoWarsLife.com store, you've got an incredible super sale going on for this Christmas. We're talking about some of their most popular and most effective products, including Living Defense at 30% off, Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver, I've used this one myself, at 50% off, Brain Force, which we spoke about just a little while ago, at 33% off, Winter Sun Vitamin D at 25% off. This is terrific for warding off those winter blues. Survival Shield X2 at 30% off, and Bio True Selenium. Now, if you order today, you can get guaranteed delivery by Christmas, and we pick up the shipping. That's right, free shipping. So act today, because I can tell you from experience, these products are going to sell out. The demand is extraordinary because they are so good. Believe me, the folks at InfoWars sift through the very best all-natural products to bring you only things that they have experience with and a lot of testimony about their effectiveness. So please, go to the InfoWarsLife.com store today and pick up your supply for this Christmas. They make great stocking stuffers. Now, as most of you know, I'm working on a book that I believe will be the definitive explanation of how Donald J. Trump pulled the greatest political upset in American political history. This book is more than just a polemic about the 2016 election. We're also going to chart the rise of the alternative media, including InfoWars and Breitbart and others who I believe played a major role in this election. There's a lot of secrets that are going to be buried deep in this book. So it's not only a look at the big national trends and the international developments that created the perfect storm, which elected Donald Trump, but we're also going to get down with a lot of down and dirty vignettes from the actual campaign trail, including Hillary Clinton's violent reaction to the results on election night, in which she was kicking, screaming, hitting people, yelling, throwing things, and ultimately had to be sedated. I have this from some of the best sources in the Democratic Party. And even today, Hillary Clinton and her globalist allies have not given up on their effort to overturn the results of our most recent democratic and fairly conducted election and turn over power to Donald Trump. The recount, which you've heard so much about in Wisconsin, ultimately yielded a net gain of 131 votes for Donald Trump. The recount in Michigan turned up nothing. The recount in Pennsylvania filed too late under that state's law. So the recount canard, launched as part of the three-pronged attack on the outcome of this election, has been an ignominious failure. First, they harped on the popular vote. Then they demanded the recount. Now it's Russian hacking. Stand up for the results of this election. And thanks for joining me here at InfoWars.com. We are the resistance. We are the tip of the spear. We are the new Trump revolution.